say police are responding to a possible gunman at the headquarters of YouTube. They're dealing with an incident in San Bruno, south of San Francisco. We'll bring you more on this as we get it. Next, the government insists there's no plausible explanation for the Salisbury nerve agents attack other than Russia's involvement. It's after the boss of Porton Down admitted his chemical weapons lab hadn't been able to verify where the substance was made. That has escaped Russian President Vladimir Putin's attention.
The president of a laboratory within 8 kilometers of the location where the incident took place told the news agencies they could not tell whether this was manufactured in Russia.
talkRADIO has been told that music is one factor influencing a rise in teenage violent crime. 17-year-old Tanisha Melbourne was shot dead in North London in a drive-by attack last night. So far this year, the Metropolitan Police has launched 47 murder investigations. Jay is a former gang member and he's been speaking to talkRADIO.
I don't think there is just one factor, but I do believe music is a factor. I believe that a lot of the rappers are maybe at one point in their life, they were criminals, and maybe they're telling stories that they may or may not have done, and these younger kids are listening to this thinking, okay, this is cool, well, I'm going to go and do this.
Now, I'm just being told that a 16-year-old boy shot on Monday night in Walthamstow, East London, has died in hospital. That's according to Scotland Yard. Now, police in Florida say 4 members of a family from Bristol have died in a car crash after their sat-nav directed them to make an illegal U-turn. They were on holiday in the state and returning from a visit to the Kennedy Space Center at the time. Now, Facebook's asking users whether they think it's good for the world. Possible responses to a poll on its site range from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Founder Mark Zuckerberg has previously said he wants to ensure Facebook is a force for good in the world as it deals with a privacy scandal. And Prince Philip's been admitted to hospital for a hip operation. Buckingham Palace say it's a planned procedure due to take place tomorrow, and the Queen's being kept fully informed about his treatment. Rain moving north across England and Wales tonight, staying wet in Scotland with hill snow spreading into northwest England tomorrow. A mix of sunshine and showers are likely for many.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on talkRADIO.
We have ways of making you talk.
Microphones off, speakers up please. Microphones off.
Laugh me a laugh. Grin me a grin.
Speakers up, speakers up,
and
speakers
then
up.
I know that we can win. Dance me a dance, joke me a joke, and blow the clouds away. You gotta play me a tune, or sing me a song, and we can help push life along. Just you and me, come on and see, together we'll be okay. Open the door, open your heart, and then we've got somewhere to start. Just turn around, look what we found. Today's a brand new day. You gotta run with me now, I'll show you how. The world is waiting, take a bow. Show them it's you, what you can do. Together we two can win. A rock on Tommy, dance to a tune that this guitar sings. Just get up and spread your wings. Spread your wings, follow me through into the sun, and we can smile at everyone. You gotta join in with me, then we are free. It isn't hard to do. I said life is a song, so just sing along, and then we know we can't go wrong. Just you and me, come on and sing. Together we'll be okay. Together we'll be okay. Together we'll be okay.
Microphones up, please. There we go. That's how you start a show. Dear God, listen, George Galloway's on all this week, but that's from a record, listen. That's great, that's what records used to sound like, guys. George Galloway's on all this week, filling in for James Whale, between 7 and 10, and he's well worth a listen, right? And we were listening until it got to 9 o'clock, and I've not been excited about any new TV show for years. I can't can't think of the last one-off show was when Louis Theroux was talking to alcoholics. That was the last time I turned on the television and watched the show as it went out, as opposed to Netflix or, whatever it was. But tonight at 9 o'clock, and it's a series, man alive, already it's my favourite thing. What's it called? Last Laugh in Vegas.
Yes.
And it's ITV, but, and sometimes ITV don't get these kind of shows right. They've got this one spot on. I was worried they've got it spot on. So it's a load of older acts, what for a brief period in the 90s we would have called heritage acts. Remember that? When they started referring to people like Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan as heritage acts? That was a thing. So it is Cannonball, Mick Miller, Bobby Crush, Bernie Clifton,
Anita
Harris, who I met today briefly in the corridors of Good Morning Britain. Oh, be still my beating heart. That woman has got it. Do you know what I mean? She exudes class and a word, a great British word that we don't say now. We now say people are fit or horny. She's neither of those things. She's very, very sexy. She is a very sexy lady, and I mean that in the truest, most traditional sense of the word.
She's got that thing, and I have a friend who was also one of these as a youngster. Showgirls.
Yeah.
They just know how to work it.
She recognised me, or at least she said she did.
Who cares whether she really did?
I came out of the corridor of Good Morning Britain, where I'd just been on with the Jersey Shore guys.
Yeah, that guy's hair.
I was incredible.
Extraordinary.
I couldn't stop staring at it.
He must get through...
Paulie D.
Yeah, he must get through the hair gel,
It was amazing. It was a work of art. They were really nice, the three of them. I don't know Jersey Shore, but they were really nice. Paulie D smelled amazing. And they were through... What was interesting, right? Because Jersey Shore is a huge show, right? It's a huge show. They're big stars. They were going around taking selfies, and they were taking pictures of John McCririck. The Jersey Shore dudes were taking pictures of John McCririck. It was beautiful, and they were lovely. But so did that, and I had the neck brace on, and there was a really and I think I might be able to take the neck brace off tomorrow because I take it off when I sleep, and I had it off for a little bit this afternoon, and it was all right. So I'm going to try and do the show tomorrow without the neck brace. Touch wood. So we talked about the well on Good Morning Britain, and I'm really disappointed with it was Charlotte and it was Kate Garraway. Really disappointed because I was told it was going to be a serious public information piece about well drops, which is I found out is the legal term for what happened to me. Well drops.
At what point did they reveal the tiny wishing well? Because that was a clear sign that it was not being taken seriously.
I walked out when they were talking. It was Shappy. Shappy was there, and
your so-called mate.
Yeah. And the husband of that poor lady that's been in prison for 2 years in Iran. And they were there because they're doing a comedy night tomorrow night, I think it is, to raise awareness and raise funds and things like that. And so I had to walk in quietly and go and stand at what I can't remember what they call it, but stand at the other part of the studio. And I got there and there's a tiny little well. And I said, what is this? Because you have to whisper. I said, what is this? They said, it's the well. I said, right, well, that is a tiny little well.
Safe, though.
And I said, you want me to stand next to it? And they said, yeah. And I said, right, okay. Right, supposing I've been a victim of gun crime, would you have me stood next to a gun? Supposing I've been abused, would you have me stand next to an abuser? This is very traumatic for me. And they said, what we want you to do is pretend... I mean, this is messed up, right, man? This is messed up. We want you to pretend you're down the well and we'll put echo on your voice. And... I'm a professional. So I played along with it, but inside I'm thinking, F you, GMB. And it was awful, it was traumatic, and I couldn't do it. And then I went to sit down, And Kate Garraway, who I've got so much time for. I think she's one of the great. I think she's brilliant, Kate. Absolutely brilliant. And she did the flossing dance right in front of me.
Yeah, I saw
Wow.
both of them.
Wowzers. I didn't see Charlotte.
Kate and Charlotte,
I
yeah.
didn't see Charlotte. I was watching Kate. And,
Kate was quite fast, wasn't she?
and then they started joking about it, and then they wanted me to put a coin in the well, and it wasn't the serious piece I was expecting it to be. I thought it was mean, I thought it was cruel, I thought it was mocking the afflicted, and I was thinking, well, imagine if I'd come on in a wheelchair. What would you have had? Wheelchair races? I don't know what the exact equivalent would be, but I found it actually very upsetting. Anyway, so I was not in the best of moods on Good Morning Britain this morning, but that's by the by. What made my mood was, as I left, and I came out of my dressing room with the neck brace on, and Anita Harris walked past, because she was about to go on to talk about this last laugh in Vegas. And she turned and she went, "Oh, hello. Oh, what's happened to you? What's happened to your neck?" She said, "You normally look so beautiful, or gorgeous, beautiful or gorgeous," something like that. And instantly, I was under her spell. If she were a hypnotist, she couldn't have put me under any quicker. And I just started going, "Oh, Anita." And I was,
so that's why you want to take the collar off.
well,
It totally is.
it is partly, yeah.
Wow.
And I said to her, because she was going, and I said, "Listen, I'm so looking forward to your show tonight. It looks like it was a lot of fun, was it?" And she was very un-showbiz. She went, "Well, let's just say it had its moments." Oh, when an old pro like that, yeah, I know, but you know what I mean. When someone who's been doing it for a long time drops their guard as much as that, they might as well just say it was the worst experience of their life. So we're going to try and get Anita Harris on the show at some point in the next week or so. It's such a good programme, and we watched it tonight. Sue Pollard, who was
Jess Conrad, who talks about himself in the third person. Always a great sign.
Be quiet, Jess is speaking. But that was what he said. Yeah, be quiet, Jess is speaking. Whoa!
Jess needs a bigger room.
Jess Conrad needs,
Jess needs a mirror, he said.
Jess needs 3 rooms. One for him, one for his ego, and one for the wig. Now, feel that burn, huh? It was so great. And what's apparent from this is that they all hate Bobby Crush. Yeah, they all hate Bobby Crush, who's obviously a very insecure gentleman, right? Very insecure, because there was some argy-bargy about rooms, and argy-bargy about his tribute to Liberace being cut from the set. Basically, all these old comics and turns get flown out to Vegas to do a show for Vegas. It's, can they make it in Vegas? Of course they will. It'll be rigged, but... And so for the whole show, you're thinking, "Oh, that Bobby Crush is the right one." And then the last 3 or 4 minutes, it was done so beautifully. They all watched clips of themselves as much younger. And Bobby Crush watched himself in his 20s. He was a very beautiful young man. And I use the word beautiful deliberately. He looked like a girl. That long hair, that very pretty face. And he kind of burst into tears. And you kind of think, "Oh, all right, Bobby, get over yourself." But then he did a lovely little interview away from everyone else to the camera, where he talked about that clip reminded him what it was like to be a young gay man who hadn't come out to his parents yet because he didn't want to disappoint them, who had no gay role models to aspire to, when being gay hadn't been legal for that long, there was a really uncomfortable scene where he's surrounded by all the bevy of beauties in bikinis and stuff. And it was just done brilliantly, because all of the antagonism that we as viewers might have had towards him, at the end you went, "Oh, I get it. Right, actually, I see. This is going to..." And then that was it. And they're being coached by a very peculiar... We don't judge people by their looks, okay? We shouldn't. But very peculiar-looking gentleman, wasn't there? He's like a white Michael Jackson. You make your own jokes at home, please. With The hair was the thing we kept looking at.
He's supposed to be, like, he's got 2 stars on the Las Vegas Strip.
Right.
And he's got a boulevard named after him. He's a big deal in Vegas, apparently.
Yes.
But yeah, he looked like a kind of, well, he looked like the spitting image puppet of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, unfeasibly dark, unfeasibly high, unfeasibly thick hair.
It was very, very strange. It was a weird thing. And it was a great show. Can you read that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. It was a great show. It was well worth watching, and it is totally going to be my favourite show of all time. I think. So good. And Cannon and Ball, right? You know I've got a soft spot for Cannon Ball. We had Tommy Cannon on the show. Cannon and Ball were so funny. So funny. I mean, absolutely brilliant. 87222 is the text if you want to text us. Start your text with the word talk, 25 pence plus your network charge. If you want to send an email, you go to talkradio.co.uk. We've got a very special guest coming up next in the guise of Rainbow George, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to. So you are listening to The Bold, The Brave, the brand new late night alternative with me, Iain Lee, on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
Join the Talk Nation.
Pick up your phone and Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
Brighten up your mornings and take a brilliant break with Mike Graham on Talk Radio with the sun holes from £15. Listen to Talk Radio every weekday morning from 10 for 3 hours packed full of fabulous features, great value guests, and quick-fire calls on all of the day's top talking points. Don't miss Mike Graham every weekday morning from 10 on Talk Radio with the sun holes from £15. Great value breaks all year round. For more information, go to thesun.co.uk/holidays.
Have I got PPI?
Want to know if you've had PPI? Find out with our free PPI check. Stephen Saunders received £1,856 on his credit card.
I wasn't sure whether I paid PPI on my credit card. Stanton Fisher did everything for me and took control of the claim.
But the claim deadline is set for August 2019. So text check to 80800 for your free PPI check.
Have I got PPI.com?
That's check to 80800.
Helen's homecoming lamb.
It's a lot quieter around here since the boys went off to college. Sunday roast was always the highlight. All the family around the table for my roast leg of lamb with salsa verde crust. I'm doing it again today. It's their favourite, and hang on a minute.
Hi, Mum. We brought a couple of pals back. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's good to have them back. For a couple of weeks.
Make your own homecoming roast with our tender, tasty grass-fed lamb. Food Love Stories, brought to you by Tesco.
1 2 1 2. Music's always best when it's live. Same as Sky Vegas bonus time. And that baby's live right now.
Between 9 and 11 every night, our unmissable bonus game is guaranteed to trigger in Sky Vegas bonus time. Only at Sky Vegas. Unexpect more. 18 plus, ends 3rd of July. Customers must be playing when bonus games randomly triggered. Minimum 20p stake. Free spins must be claimed and used by midnight. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org. When the fun stops, stop.
Where do you charge an electric car?
How quickly can I do it?
How far can you go on one charge?
How much can I save? Can I charge it at home?
Do I need a house with a drive? Can you get an electric shock off them?
If I plug in on mobile phone, will the car's battery run out?
Can they go in car washes?
Got questions about owning an electric car? Get the answers at goultralow.com.
The wild man of late night radio.
The late night alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
So Limmy, who we love on this show, has got a new show coming out. He's got a one-off show this Thursday, I think it is, on BBC Scotland, but you can watch it on the iPlayer afterwards, called Limmy's Homemade Show, right? And he's basically filmed it, he's done everything himself, right? And they've tweeted one bit from it. Have you seen have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
I'll play it, right? It's him basically making like a dance track, okay? And some of you will go, what? And some of you will go, that is just genius, right? So I'm going to play this. Catherine, you'll have the benefit of seeing it. This is from Limmy's Homemade Show. Look at this. This is beautiful.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, 4, knock at the door, 5, 6, pick up sticks, 7, 8, lay them straight, 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, 4, knock at the door, 5, 6, pick up sticks, 7, 8, lay them straight, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10,
Wow, that's a grown-up.
That's going to be on telly. I love it. I love it. Oh, that's funny, man. That is funny. 87222 is the text number. We don't take phone calls anymore. The show is phone call free. It's a bold, brave, new direction and one that we are happy to follow. But we do have special guests. And tonight we are thrilled to say we have got none other than Rainbow George as tonight's guest. Good evening, George.
Good evening to you and Catherine. How lovely this is. It's just the three of us.
Just the three of us.
Going to change the world together.
That's what we're going to do. That's the plan. Yeah. That's the plan. How are you doing, George? If I'm honest, you sound... The last couple of calls, you've sounded a little bit out of breath. Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've still got a few breaths, I think. But maybe, I don't know, maybe this could be the last call ever.
Wow.
And I quite like the feel of that.
Oh.
If this was the last call ever, what would I be saying to you?
All right, I'll tell you what then. Let's play that game, the slightly macabre game. Let's say this is the last call you're ever going to make, and this is the last call that we're ever going to take. So we are free from the shackles that would normally bind us, and let's see where this goes.
Yes. Well, I'm looking forward to April the 14th, of course, and the launch of the party to end all political parties, the Wonder Party, and the journey towards a world of wonders begins at the MAP Music Studio Cafe in Camden on April the 14th. And hopefully you're both going to be there to be part of it.
I'm there, brother. What time does it kick off?
7 o'clock.
Then I'm there. Unless there is I do have the one caveat, unless there is an emergency with my children, or suddenly my wife gets called into work at very short notice. But I think I'm pretty sure, George, we're going to be okay. And people can go. People listening to this, if you want to come along, go and say hello to George, say hello to me, then you'd be very, very welcome to. So what are we gonna experience on Saturday the 14th at 7 p.m?
Well, it's the 33rd anniversary of a party I threw at the Camden Palace back in 1985, and it was a penny to get in, but it was supposed to be £3 to get out, and it didn't work because we were planning to do parties every fortnight, and I was going to release a 1-hour audio tape at each of these parties, none of which happened other than the first one, and so the first tape became renamed as the trailer tape, and the other tapes never
happened,
never materialised. But Peter Cook was helping me on the tapes, and we were having conversations that we were recording, and these were going to feature on the 7 tapes. But the last tape was going to come out on July the 10th, 1985. And I was so confident about what I was setting in motion. I was trying to book Wembley Stadium to celebrate it all 4 days later.
Yeah.
And it turned out July the 10th was the day they sunk the Greenpeace ship, the Rainbow Warrior.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
And a few days later was the Live Aid concert, so I'd been made to imagine this concert that the world could tune into, and from that point I became an apprentice prophet, and I've been an apprentice prophet ever since. Leading up to that, I thought I was a real prophet, and I thought I'd been shown the future, and I was taken for a kind of ride, I suppose, just like you were when you fell into the well, because I totally believe that we're all effectively being remotely controlled to think and do whatever we think and do. The only thing that's not controlled is our feelings.
Well, there are a lot of philosophers and a lot of psychologists who agree with you to a certain extent and think that we don't have free will, and that that we are kind of we're passive, and that everything that we do is sort of not controlled by our thoughts and by our free will. We're just watching us do it, and then our brain fills in the dots to try and explain to us. The reason I've just picked this pen up off the table is not because my shell of a body was always going to pick that pen up. The reason I picked it up was to illustrate this point. Do you know, it kind of fills in the blanks.
I think we are free to will, but we're not free to choose. And there is, we can will to do anything. It doesn't mean we're going to be able to do it. But to me, choice is a total illusion. Do you know the little limerick? There once was a man who said, "Damn." Do you know that?
Go on. Let's have it.
There once was a man who said, "Damn, it is borne in on me that I am an engine that moves in predestinate grooves. I'm not even a bus, I'm a tram."
There we go, you see. Isn't that great? Isn't that with the wisdom in those few lines there, man? That's great.
Well, I suppose it to be true, because my mystical experiences go back to 1976. Early in 1976, I tried to end my life and swallowed a lot of pills, and woke up with the telephone ringing. Some guy who had never called me before in the jewellery trade, because I was in Hatton Garden with my dad in those days.
Yeah.
And he told me he had some rubies that he wondered if I could sell them for him. This is someone who's never phoned me up ever before.
Yeah.
And within a matter of hours, I'd sold his rubies and earned 10,000 quid, which I owed. It was part of the reason I didn't want to be here anymore.
Well, I was going to say, why did you try and kill yourself? It was because you were in debt, was it?
I was in debt, and I couldn't turn to my dad to bail me out, because he'd bailed me out in the past, and I just couldn't face that again. But that started a journey through 76 that ended on January the 7th, 1977.
Yeah.
And I was taken on a very mystical trip that got very not very pleasant to the latter part of it. I went through several exorcisms, sort of voices in my head that I couldn't get out of my head, and all climaxed on January the 7th, 1977, and I haven't heard a voice in my head since then.
Sorry, did you say you went through an exorcism? What, an actual exorcism?
Yes, several exorcisms.
With whom? With Catholic priests, or with I don't know.
It was a famous exorcist in Hampstead called Christopher Neil Smith. If you Google,
I've heard the name. I know the name. Yeah.
He performed thousands of exorcisms, and he was friendly with R.D. Laing.
Yeah.
And he kept threatening me that if I came back to him, he'd send me to R.D. Laing.
R.D. Laing was the dude that was giving everyone LSD to cope with schizophrenia and stuff, wasn't he?
I don't really know if he was doing that, but possibly he was.
Didn't he encourage? Did R.D. Laing didn't he encourage like people who were having like real like schizophrenia and real kind of mental trauma? Didn't he encourage them to act it out? Like if someone thought, let's take a classic cliched example. If someone thought they were Jesus, he'd get them to. He'd go, yeah, you're Jesus. Come on then, let's do. If you're going to be Jesus in style. I think that was what Laing did.
There never was a Jesus.
Well, George, you and I know that, but the poor souls that thought they were Jesus.
Yeah, no, I really don't know that much about R.D. Laing. You probably know more than I do. I only met him once, and it was years later, after my exorcisms and things, I then spent the best part of 6 years trying to write a book about what I'd experienced.
Yeah.
And it started off, my first title was Laughing Through My Tears, and I suppose that's where my rainbow imagery came from, but I changed it later and I started writing it in a different way, and I called it A Nightingale Sang, and I was writing a book in which I pretended to meet someone that had my experiences. I wanted to give those experiences to someone else to tell me, essentially. But I was still trying to complete that book when my dad died on January the 7th, 1983, exactly 6 years to the day after my last voice in my head, essentially.
Yeah.
And I had to come back to London. So I started off the first few years of writing. I was living in Southern Ireland, and the last few on the south coast here in a village called Rustington, near Bognor. And I said, when my dad died, I had to come back to London. He was a diamond merchant. I was his one and only son, and he had 6 daughters and me. And I let my dad down very badly by abandoning him, really, chasing after a girlfriend that I'd been living with for a few years, an Irish girl. I'd met her in 1972. I was coming out of a food shop in Hampstead with a bag of plums and my Labrador dog, Geronimo. And
I love that. It's the detail. It's the detail, Catherine, in all these stories. Just get that little bit of extra detail.
You remember exactly what you bought.
Yeah, well, our eyes met. I offered the bag of plums, and she took a plum, and I won her away from Errol Brown of Hot Chocolate. She was his girlfriend, and I said I was cool Ovaltine. So and he was living in a penthouse flat in Hampstead that I used to live in years earlier. Right. But we were together for 3.5 years, and I suppose I lost her because I found myself spending most of my evenings at the Claremont Club playing backgammon with Lord Lucan and others, And
hang on,
anyway.
no. And this is why, and we are going to do this, George. And I know let's get past the 14th, and then we're going to do this. But Catherine and I, if you're up for it, would love to come and record a podcast series with you. Maybe we kind of do 6 episodes, and we interview you, or we let you chat. We get some of your audio cassettes, and we put some of those out and put it out as a podcast. Right? I think it'll be the next big thing, as big as Serial, which was huge. But sorry. You used to play cards with Lord Lucan.
Backgammon. I mean, if when his late wife died recently, there was quite a bit about me in the press, and I was the last person to play backgammon with Lord Lucan, and I could see that he wasn't his normal self, and he went for a toilet break, and I asked one of his friends what was wrong with him, and his friend told me that he'd gone to Harrods and he'd bought a kitten for his children because he was living separately from the children and his wife, and the kitten had come back through his letterbox with its throat cut.
No.
And that's what really tipped him in the direction that he went in. And there was quite that story was told. I had told it a year or so earlier. The Daily Mirror did quite a big article about it at the time. But yes, and now I've lost myself.
No, don't. No, well, you haven't, because we're wandering around in meandering, ever-decreasing circles, and I love it, because that's what a good conversation is. Going back to when you were exorcised, do you now, looking back, George, do you genuinely believe that you had, I don't know, demons living inside you, or do you think it was a form of mental illness?
No, because it wouldn't have just come to an end as dramatically as it did. I said I haven't heard a voice since, and it started off with me supposing myself to be in communication with a friend of mine who had died a few years earlier, and that's I could hear his voice in my head. We could have conversations. There were lots of things he wouldn't tell me. He said, start writing the book and bring it up to the present, and then he would answer all the questions that he wasn't prepared to answer at the time. So that's what I did.
Why did you have the voices exercised then? Why did you not want to keep them? Because we had, and I can't remember the guy's name, Marshall Summers. We had this guy on, right? This American guy, and he's fascinating, George. I think you'd get on with him. And basically, in the late 70s, early 80s, he started hearing voices in his head, right? And he tried to ignore it, and then one day the voice said, "You've got to go out into the desert and wait, and I'm going to give you a message." And he did. He went out into the desert, and he waited, and eventually he got told to get out a pen and paper and start writing. And these books were dictated to him from this voice. And we've had him on the show, and, you know, a lot of people would call him a nutcase and a fruitcake and all of that. We had him on. He was absolutely delightful, completely lucid. We had him and his son. And his message was nothing but one of peace and one of love and one of there is no right religion. There is just a universal God and a universal higher power, and we've got a huge environmental disaster coming our way, and mankind needs to kind of pull together to defeat this. And also, this is where he loses me slightly, defeat an attack from alien forces that may already be here. But very similar, you know, getting it getting that message delivered in a similar way to how you're describing your messages and your voice.
Right, but it's on January the 7th, 1977, I screamed, and when I screamed, then a voice came into my head and said, very authoritative voice and said, "Your test is now over." And I demanded an explanation from this voice, and the voice said, "Be still." And in the next 5 minutes or so, I suppose, all the voices that had come into my head were allowed to come in one by one and like switched off. And what this authoritative voice was telling me was that everything that had happened, it had been controlling essentially, and it was really a very freaky trip that I went through.
Freaky trip, man. George, listen, I've got to do some ads because I've missed one. You all right to come back in a couple of minutes?
I'd love to
stay there
in a couple of minutes.
Stay there
forever.
No, stay there. Don't you put that phone down, brother. This is the late night alternative. We don't take phone calls anymore, but we do have excellent guests. We got Rainbow George up for the next, however long that we've got. This is the late night alternative on Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
At John Lewis, we have everything you need for the perfect feast, with 20% off selected John Lewis classic cookware and baking ranges, and £150 off KitchenAid 125 artisan stand mixers. So whether you're baking with the little ones or entertaining the grown-ups, John Lewis have everything you need for the perfect get-together. Terms and conditions apply.
First hole of the Masters, it's a par 4. Tough tee shot here. It's the ultimate in mind over matter. But could it be better? Butch Harmon, what do you think?
Sky Bet are playing 10 places at this year's Masters before they tee off for new and existing customers.
Looking good. Fine tee shot. 10 places. Smashing offer. Sky Bet. That's betting better. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Applies to each way bets only. Paid at a fifth odds. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply.
With breakdown cover from the AA, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure your big wheels keep on turning. Our mechanics usually fix your car within 30 minutes of arrival. Breakdown cover from the AA, because anything can happen.
Guess what? I just got a pay rise.
I got a pay rise too. And so did I.
That's because on the 1st of April, the national minimum wage
and the national living wage both went up.
What's more, it's your legal right to receive it.
Find out if you're due a pay rise too. Check your pay at gov.uk/checkyourpay.
The national minimum wage
and the national living wage. It's a step up in pay. Morning.
Whoa.
Up early. Busy week. I've got a lot on. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm on a bedroom today, on a bathroom tomorrow, on a lounge on Wednesday, and on a hall stairs and landing the rest of the week. Well, I best let you get on then.
With 7 a.m. opening so you can get on with your day, you'll be happy talking to Dulux Decorator Centre. Visit duluxdecoratorcentre.co.uk or your local store. Dulux Decorator Centre. Centred on you.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. Weekends with Penny Smith.
On Talk Radio.
I'm Penny Smith. Join me on Talk Radio for the perfect weekend breakfast. I'm going to be reviewing the papers, taking a look at all the best new film, book and theatre releases, and I'm going to be chatting to a whole host of celebrity guests, live in the studio. Weekends with Penny Smith. Saturday and Sunday morning from 7. On Talk Radio, we'll get you talking.
Jacked up jive talk for janitors, jazz cats, and gin-soaked boys and girls.
Commando.
If you're awake, you're welcome.
I've got 5 cactus needles stuck in my...
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
This is the late night alternative on Talk Radio. Look, hang on, I'm deaf in one ear. There it is. It's a loose connection. Oh, come on. Come on now.
Is the connection loose in your head or in the...
It's both. It's both.
Oh, man.
Late night alternative. we're not taking phone calls anymore, but we are taking guests. And someone has tweeted, George sounds like a caller. He ain't in the studio. You might as well just take a few callers now you've started. No, we're not taking callers. This is a guest. We've had this planned for absolutely bloody ages, and George is fascinating. Catherine, is there anything you want to ask George? Because you're still kind of quite new to the world of George.
So many things.
Yeah, aren't there? Every time there's more nuggets that just get fired out.
So many things, George. So, can we go back to the Irish girl?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Penny.
Yeah.
That's why it was a Penny party. It was, even though we'd been separate for 6 years or so by then.
But it was a 3.5 year relationship. And how old are you now?
77.
And you've never forgotten about this girl?
And sorry?
You've never forgotten about this girl?
I still communicate with her occasionally. She got married, had a couple of kids, is now divorced, living in Mallorca. I really wanted to be at the party on the 14th, but it's her birthday, so she's not going to be at the party on the 14th. I don't think so. Anyway.
You still in love with her, George?
In love with some of the memories, yes.
Yeah. The idea of her.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it was, she was the love of my life, and I've not been in a relationship since, but, as I say, I went off into the mystic. She sent me off into the mystic, and it's, I don't know, this conversation that we're having, I'm just imagining we could have a book together, the three of us, if we do this right. It could be really wonderful.
Books are such a faff. I'm trying to write a book, George, and writing a book is such hard work, man. It really is.
Tell me about it. I did 6 years trying to write a book, and kept finding myself going back to page 1.
It's hard. Is it having that dedication to sit down and pour it all out, and you know, I mean, even now typing it, which is way easier than writing it by hand, but typing it on a computer, it's just such hard work.
When I was the first 3 years or so when I was living in Ireland, I made friends with a number of tax exiled writers there. There was a guy called Gordon Thomas. Have you ever heard of Gordon?
I don't know the name Gordon Thomas, no.
No. I'm trying to think of... He was originally married to Annie Nightingale.
Oh.
And then there was another guy, Edwin Ward. He was a writer from Nottingham.
Yeah.
Frederick Forsyth. Lots of them. John Gardner. You heard of John?
I know the name John Gardner. I certainly know Freddie Forsyth. What? These are people that you used to hang out with?
Yes. Well, there was a castle called Glanmore Castle.
Yeah.
Which was near to where I was living, and there was a German guy, Kurt. He owned the castle.
It was either going to be a Herman or a Kurt, wasn't it? Yes, of course.
And he had three daughters, 3 lovely daughters, and a lovely wife. And he'd come over to Ireland originally from East Germany. And he didn't even know the castle was on the land. He bought the land, and then he discovered there was a castle on it called Glanmore Castle. Wow. If you look it up, it'll come up. And he was so. They were all so nice to me. I mean, I'm Jewish, and so palling up with
Glanmore Castle in County Wicklow.
Yeah.
Flipping it, that's someplace. I've googled it. That's someplace to not know was on the land you bought. Blimey.
And one day when I was there for lunch, one of Hitler's bodyguards came and joined us for lunch that day. But I don't know. There's so many stories, but they went back to Germany, but after the war came down, because they were from East Germany, but they were very lovely family, and very kind to me, as was my landlady. I lived in a property called the Arches, and my landlady, I left her owing her 10,000 quid, but it was
£10,000 seems to be the magic number for you.
Yeah, no, it's come up at least 5 or 6 critical times.
Yeah.
Because I was a gambler. I was okay until May the 1st, 1961, when gambling was legalized and everything changed.
Oh.
Because before then, people used to dream of winning 75,000 quid on the football pools, and suddenly they could dream of winning money every day. And I walked into a betting shop. The betting shop opened in Hatton Garden, and I walked in there, and I'd just come out of an apprenticeship at the end, diamond setting. At the end of my apprenticeship, I was earning five quid a week. 4-year, nearly 5-year apprenticeship. Anyway, I walk into this betting shop, and they're chalking up the names of the horses and putting the prices next to them. And my eye focuses on a horse called Only for Life.
Yeah.
And I put a 33 to 1, and I put a quid on it, and it won. So I was hooked from that first bet, essentially, and gambling as it progressed got me into a lot of trouble over the years, and I had such a clever father, and he had such a stupid son. My dad was he was from Vienna. He came with my mother from Vienna, and they came into this country on Christmas Eve 1938, and they were chasing after some Swedish count, because my dad had given this Swedish count.
Where has this come from? Where is this twist in the tale come from? Why was your dad chasing a Swedish count?
He'd given the Swedish count sort of diamonds and jewellery that belonged to his 4 sisters, and arranged to meet him in Stockholm. And he got to Stockholm, and the Swedish count ran away to London, and because it was Christmas Eve, they let my parents into the country.
Yeah.
And they ended up with some case at the Old Bailey, and my dad got the diamonds and jewellery back, but his 4 sisters unfortunately died in the concentration camps, and his brother, his whole family, but my mother's family all survived, and my surname is Weiss, means white, and my mother had a sister who married someone called Schwartz, which means black. So one sister married a Mr. White, and the other married a Mr. Black, and so my dad lost 4 sisters and a brother in the concentration camps, and with my mother he had 4 daughters and me. He had 2 daughters. His first wife had died in labour trying to give birth to a son, but he had two daughters from that marriage. All my sisters are still...
They're still around. George, listen, I'm gonna interrupt. I'm gonna say thank you very much for tonight. You have given us so much. I genuinely think, and we'll talk about this on the 14th, but I think if we do a nice little 6-part, Catherine, little 6-part podcast series, 6 or 8 parts, stuff like there are podcast series, George, that kind of are self-contained within 6 or 8 parts. There's one called Serial that took the world by storm, and there are a couple of others. Honestly, I think we do a little 6-8-part podcast series with you, where it's just you talking, like you've been talking tonight. We get some bits from your cassettes, your huge, vast cassette collection, drop some of those in. We put that out once a week. Honestly, I think people will love it, George. I think that will reach a bigger audience than a book.
I just feel we're going to do something lovely together.
I think we are. Well, we have tonight. Tonight already we have. Tonight we've had 40 minutes of lovely conversation, which I've absolutely loved. So we're gonna do stuff, George. Definitely, man.
Can I just read Ronnie Carroll's European Utopia?
You've got 30 seconds. Can you do it in 30 seconds?
Oh, no.
Do it right. Next time you come on, we'll have that. George, it's good. Sorry, I'm coughing while I'm talking. It's good to talk to you, man. We'll speak soon.
Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you, brother. Take care, George. There we go. That's what it's all about. Quality, not quantity. Loads of people on Twitter don't get it. Well, he's a caller. No, he's a guest. Yeah, but he's on the phone. Yeah, well, hang on a minute. When we had Dean from Jan and Dean, he was in Los Angeles. He was on the phone. A guest doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be sat in the studio with us. Yeah, but he's on the phone, so technically he's a caller, so technically we're all guests.
Oh, they've got us there. Flipping heck.
Jeez. And everyone on Twitter, right. I've been called a well-nonce, right, because I was pictured with a tiny well, and in the picture on Good Morning Britain, I'm looking at the well, and it looks like I'm touching my penis. I'm not. I'm slightly...
You were tossing at the time.
No,
You were tossing your...
It's because I'm stiff. With the back. Right, this is getting out of hand. When we come back, we will tell you why I'm not a well-nonce. Well, whoa, that sounds wrong. Let's just go to the adverts.
Talk Radio.
I'm not a well-nonce.
Join the Talk Nation.
Dial up and Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking. Get
I'll have
behind
decaf
the
coffee
wheel
on sugar,
and
please.
set off on a radical road trip as Talk Radio serves up Julia's continental breakfast with Eurotunnel the Shuttle. Register now at talkradio.co.uk/competitions and you can win Eurotunnel Flexi Plus tickets and an incredible voucher worth £1,500 to rent a Novasol holiday home on the continent. Tuck into Julia's continental breakfast all this week on Talk Radio with Eurotunnel the Shuttle. With a 35-minute crossing time, Eurotunnel is the fastest way to cross the Channel by car.
Cast your mind back and think. Were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into a SIP, self-invested personal pension?
Yes, I was.
You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claim specialists in pension and investment mis-selling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
This is where the story begins.
Augusta National, where the only thing predictable is the unpredictable.
Where risk brings reward.
It's good pace, it's excellent pace, it's good line, and McElroy birdies the 72nd.
Where the fearless are favoured.
Tiger's got it, he's still got it.
Where heroes live. Sky Sports Golf. The only place to see all 4 days of the 2018 Masters live.
So, I think you might have forgotten about me. I'm up here on the ceiling. Your smoke alarm? Maybe I've slipped your mind, but the thing is, I might not be working. That means I might not be able to warn you if there's a fire. I know I sound anxious, and you might not realise it's a matter of life and death, but if you think about it, it kind of is. So, how about you just press my button, make me beep, then we can all rest easy. What do you reckon?
Smoke alarms. They need to work to keep you safe.
Press to test, monthly is best. Across the UK, online and on DAB.
A new kind of talk radio. We'll get you talking.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio, on the hour news headlines.
Good evening, I'm Carl Hartley. Police in California are responding to reports of a shooting at the YouTube headquarters. Officers in San Bruno have tweeted to urge people to stay away from the area. The spokeswoman for California's Stanford Hospital says they've received 4 to 5 patients from the incident. Sky's Greg Millam is in Los Angeles.
People inside that building heard gunshots. They also then heard people running out of that building, running for cover. Now, since then, we've seen the police corralling those people who are escaping the building, patting them down, making sure that they're not one of the people who might be involved in this incident.
Back here, a 16-year-old boy who was in a critical condition after being shot in London last night has died. Police have launched a murder investigation following the attack in Walthamstow. Shortly before, in a separate incident, a 17-year-old girl was shot dead in Tottenham, just a few miles away. Candice Hassan went to the same school. She's told Talk Radio her death is tragic.
She's just a humble girl. She was just starting her life. She didn't even turn 18 yet. That's all it is. She was so smart. Everyone knew her. She was laughed. That's it. She was just a nice girl. She didn't deserve none of it.
The government says science is only part of the evidence it used to conclude that Russia was behind the Salisbury nerve agent attack. It's after the head of Britain's chemical weapons lab admitted its experts hadn't been able to verify where the substance came from. 4 members of a family from Bristol have died in a car crash on holiday in Florida. Police believe that driver Adam Stevenson turned left into the path of a pickup truck at the directions of his GPS system. And the Duke of Edinburgh is spending tonight in hospital in London. Buckingham Palace has revealed Prince Philip will have a planned operation tomorrow. It's understood he's been having trouble with a hip for a few months. Rain moving north across England and Wales tonight, staying wet in Scotland with hill snow spreading into northwest England tomorrow. A mix of sunshine and showers are likely for many.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have...
Don't tell the Beatles, but that was a naughty mix. Was a naughty mix. I love that song. For me, the greatest Beatles album is Revolver. Revolver is the masterpiece that everyone says Sgt. Pepper is. And Sgt. Pepper I find quite... This is great. I've grown to like Sgt. Pepper a lot more as I've got older, but it feels very mechanical and very kind of processed, whereas Revolver feels much more organic, and it's got 2 of the Beatles' greatest songs on there. Here, There and Everywhere, and For No One. You know that song? Mm. Oh, man. And it reminds me of being in love with Kerry when I was 15. It reminds me... those 2 songs... I wonder if I've got I wonder if there's a naughty... Hang on a minute. Is this a naughty version of For No One? I don't know. Hang on a second.
Your day breaks.
Oh, listen to McCartney.
Your mind aches. You find that all our
Listen
words
to it.
of kindness linger.
Isn't it good? I mean, isn't it really? There's just so many of these on the... Oh, listen. Oh, it's him teaching the song to the Beatles. Oh, man alive. Hang on a second. What the hell is this? Sarah, what are you doing?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, we don't have any callers.
I'm the guest.
No, you're not, because we've not planned to have you on.
Oh, that's a shame. Are you going to cut me off?
Well,
you probably will.
Well, of course I'm going to cut you off. If you were to be a guest, what would you be guest speaking on?
Well, I was going to speak about tarot cards.
Hey.
Oh.
It's gone.
Oh, I was intrigued by that.
No, but she's a caller. She has to go through the proper production channels. Catherine.boyle@talkradio.co.uk.
Well, I think that was... Can I give her a ring and fix her?
Yeah, for another night.
Oh.
Well, you can't... No. You can't have... No, that's a caller. No, what are you talking about? Are you backstabbing me now? I bet you're one of the people that's been doing #wellnonce. Right, let me tell you what happened. When I went on Good Morning Britain this morning, okay, I was told 2 things. One, I would be talking about Jersey Shore. And 2, that there will be a serious, in-depth look at the problem with well drops. That's the legal, technical term for people who fall down. And by the way, if anyone's got the contact details for that kid that spent 13 hours in a drain in Los Angeles, I'd like to reach out to him. So I did speak to the the Jersey Shore people, and but the well thing was a piss take. It was a piss take, right? And they had a tiny little ornamental well, and so there's now a picture that has now become a meme of me with a tiny well, and and now people are saying that I was because I had to turn to face the well, and my shoulders and everything were so stiff that I had to rest my right hand's a little bit limp. I had to rest it in my lap. It looks like I'm banging one out.
It was when you were tossing the coin in.
Well,
that
right.
Picture.
Okay.
So
well,
you were actually tossing into the well.
Yes. Well. Okay. Fine. But so now there is a hashtag well nonce. Right. I'm not a nonce, and I'm certainly not a well nonce. Well, no nonce is a well. Let's be honest. They all need either castration or treatment. Certainly need locking up. But I don't want to make light of that, and that people will think I have done. So, yeah. So, but now it's become a meme. Now it's become a meme, and what that means is people do funny pictures. Like there was one with me as Sheriff Wellnonce. It's me on a horse. How did they get a picture of me on a horse with a neck brace on? How did they
can do amazing things?
Can they?
Yeah.
Sheriff Wellnonce. Then there was a picture of the Wellman adverts in the Tube, and I thought this was genuine because I was just looking at it on my phone, but apparently it was doctored. And it's me as the Wellman guy. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and there's all kinds of stuff. So I won't stand for that. Oh. And also now I'm being trolled by black cab drivers because I said, right, here's the thing, right? What are you laughing at now?
Well.
Is this another well nonce?
Don't tell him, but there's one of him that looks like the Andrex dog pulling his neck brace near the blooming ornamental well.
All these people are being reported to Twitter and to the police. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Can you go and sort out what's going on out there, please? Thank you very much indeed. It's as simple as that. They're all being reported. That is what is happening. So just thank you for bringing those to my attention. Now, I made the mistake of saying that I think our screens saying different things. Maybe they're saying the same thing. Anyway, I think what is I made the mistake tonight. I made 2 mistakes tonight. First mistake was I got an Uber Pool-it. Okay, you know an Uber Pool-it, right? So you get an Uber. It's a cab thing on your app, phone thing, right? And controversial, and it takes you from your place. Uber Pool-it is you can share your car with other people. So I got an Uber Pool-it, right? Because you save a little bit of money.
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. So I got in the car and I went to get in the back, and the guy said, no, we've got people in the back. You've got to sit in the front. And so I'm sitting in the front. I'm a big man. There was not room, right? And there's these 2 women in the back. And we're going all around the houses just to get them to Euston Station, okay? It's the most uncomfortable thing. Then they got out. And then as they got out, it popped up on my phone, Mario will be joining you soon.
Oh, will he?
Flipping it. So then we're driving all around the houses again, and we see this dude Mario's got loads of bags. And Mario gets in, and get this, he starts talking to me. A stranger having a conversation.
He's not from London, is he?
No, and I gave him very short shrift, right? And then I finally got here. It took me 40 minutes to get here, right? So that was my first mistake. The second mistake was going on Twitter and telling people how I had what public transport I'd used today. Told people I'd used an Uber. I might as well have been the one doing all the raping. Well, right, listen, here's the thing. I don't live in London, I work in London. I use nearly all of the public transport facilities that are open to me. I use black cabs, I use Ubers, I use minicabs, I use buses, and I use the underground. I don't use the bikes, okay? And I use Shankses, right? So I use all of these things that are open to me. But listen, I understand. Listen, black cab drivers, I get it. You're fighting for your living. I totally get it, right? I do. I really do. I can't afford to get a black cab all the time. I can't afford it. Even with the jungle money, which I got paid the least out of all of them since transpires. I can't afford it, right? When I can, I do. When I've got my boys with me, I do, because they like it, and I like it. And I love black cab drivers, right? But I can't afford it all the time, okay? And it's not as if and I've had bad experiences in black cab drivers when we tried to get a cab from Heathrow, right? Fine, okay. I've had bad minicab. I've had bad bus drivers. I've had very bad bus drivers, right? So I get it, right? And I get that you're fighting for your jobs and for your livelihoods. I totally get that, right? But to have, I was called a C. I was called an S. That's shit.
Okay.
I was called a cock jockey. That's homophobic. I had another black cab driver make a racist joke about the Uber driver. So, kind of playing to the stereotypes. I had someone imply that because some radio hosts have been charged with sexual crimes, that all radio hosts are sexual predators. And I did reply going, don't make me say the obvious. We're all thinking John Warboys. It was getting into that kind of territory.
But you hadn't said that. He's the one that brought that up.
He brought it up. And it got into it. I'm never listening to you again. You're a tosser. How dare you? You're outrageous. All this abuse, right? And it really, and I know that these very angry, vitriolic ones, the racist one and the homophobic one, I know it's a minority. I do. Because I'm sensible and I'm 44 and I know it is, right? But they're ambassadors for your trade. They are, and I get why they're angry, of course, and they're upset. They are ambassadors for your trade. And to have about a dozen people, at least, calling me a C, an S, making out I'm a sexual predator, making homophobic jokes about me, racist jokes, it doesn't incline me to go, you know what, I'm going to get a black cab tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flag down a black cab. You know what it's like, guys. You walk in a shop, right? And if you get one member of staff that's rude to you in that shop, you go, I'm never going back there again. Go to a restaurant. You get one waiter that's rude to you. You go, I'm never going back to that restaurant again. That's how it works. And to have had the barrage, very few. There are a couple of cogent arguments about what Uber is doing and the legality and the insurance and all of that stuff. A couple. But the vast majority were just abusive and offensive. And I don't get it. I get the passion, I get the anger. I don't get why it was all piled onto me, particularly when I specified at least twice that I use all forms of public transport. I can't afford to get a black cab all the time. I try and walk more these days. And I got the Uber pool. I get Uber from time to time, and I got the pool because I thought, well, let's see what happens. Maybe I can talk about it on the show. I didn't expect it to blow up in my hands. Hayden, what are you doing, mate? Hayden?
Yeah?
Yeah, what are you doing, mate?
I don't know.
Right. What are you doing up at 11:15?
I don't know. I guess it's the holidays.
You sound about 3 years old.
No, I'm actually 10 billion years old.
Right, all right, whatever. But I bet he's a black cab driver or a well maker. Whatever. We're not taking phone calls, mate.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
There we go. That is Brexit summed up in one phone call. Go to the ads.
Talk Radio. Digital debate
Speakers off,
for the
please.
UK.
Pick up your phone and talk radio.
We'll get you talking.
There's no one there now.
In the new Sun mobile app, you have all this. TV and showbiz exclusives and football and breaking news and money-saving tips and scores and travel and fashion and beauty trends and celebs and real-life stories and Dear Deirdre and sports and gossip and alerts that make sure you stay ahead of the game. And you can personalise your news feed so you only see the things you love. And it's free. Ideal. Download the new Sun mobile app. It's totally Sun-backed.
Countdown to Brexit on Talk Radio with The Times. Know your times. The clock is ticking as the UK prepares to officially leave the European Union. Listen to the No Nonsense Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer tomorrow morning from 6:30, when she'll be joined by Times journalists to discuss the latest Brexit developments. Don't just be informed, be well informed with debate, analysis and opinion from right across the political spectrum. Countdown to Brexit with Julia Hartley-Brewer, weekday mornings from 6:30 on Talk Radio with The Times.
Where do you charge an electric car?
How quickly can I do it?
How far can you go on one charge?
How much can I save?
Can I charge it at home?
Do I need a house with a drive?
Can you get an electric shock off them? If I plug in my mobile phone, will the car's battery run out?
Can they go in car washes?
Got questions about owning an electric car? Get the answers at goultralow.com.
At Homebase, there's 2 for £70 on Farrow and Ball 2.5 litre estate and modern emulsion paint. Offer ends Monday. Homebase, always your home, always low prices. In-store only, excludes clearance outlets.
This is the sound of breakfast in bed. It's nice to feel valued. We're with you. So join British Gas Rewards today for loads of ways to feel valued. Like the chance to win tickets to the O2. When you're with British Gas, we're with you. Terms and conditions apply.
Cast your mind back and think. Were you ever contacted out of the blue for a pension review? Were you advised to move your work or personal pension into a SIP, self-invested personal pension?
Yes, I was.
You could be due thousands if you were missold. Money Redress are trusted claim specialists in pension and investment mis-selling. They'll manage the whole claim for you on a no payout, no fee basis, so you can't lose. Text WIN to 85077.
First hole of the Masters. It's a par 4.
I mean,
tough tee shot here.
Fuck's sake.
Don't but could it be better? But Sharman, what do you think?
Sky Bet are playing 10 places at this year's Masters before they tee off for new and existing customers.
Looking good. Fine tee shot. 10 places. Smashing offer. Sky Bet. That's betting better. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Applies to each way bets only. Paid at a fifth odds. Eligibility restrictions and further T's and C's apply.
Dead of night discourse for disco queens.
I'm related to Jedward and Dolly Parton.
Dairy farmers
Aye.
and distant fathers.
Yeah, well.
The late night alternative with Iain Lee.
Doing lots of things that we don't know about, we can't control.
On Talk Radio.
Yes, great.
Steve G on Twitter. This one just come in. Always thought you were a decent presenter, Ian, but can't tune in anymore knowing that you use that scummy rape app. I mean, don't make me say the name John Moore, boys. So I replied, state of this, I also use black cabs, buses, Shanks is the tube. Mate, if you feel you have to switch off the best radio show, best radio show in the country because of how I travel and how I can afford to travel, then good luck to you. I mean, people aren't listening. People aren't listening, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Ah, man alive. I'm getting all flustered and discombobulated now.
This is why we got rid of the callers.
Exactly. No callers. What are these idiots? Who are these? Who are you, Thomas?
As upset as it is, you know, it just brings back the reality how desperate people are to do well for the team. But, you know, we're not going to win them all. I think we all need
Who are you? What is this?
It was just hideous. I couldn't breathe, and I can feel this panic. Right,
I don't even know what's going on.
That was you.
We don't want any phone calls, right? I don't want any phone calls. No phone calls. Okay, this what is going on. This is utter bollocks. Utter bollocks. That's outrageous behaviour. Right, I'm discombobulated now. I need to just focus. Oh, so I'm going to be on The Chase soon.
All right.
Filming it. Filming it not this weekend, the weekend after. Actually, it's going to go out in October. I've asked them not to talk about the well. What have you seen now?
Someone's put your face on Wellard.
Okay, fine.
That's terrible.
Well, that's great news. That's great news.
Shall I report them?
Yeah, report that, please. That is being reported. Right. So, I'm filming The Chase next weekend, and I had to do a preliminary interview today to talk about it and stuff. And they phoned up, and here's what they said. Right, here is what they said. They said, we want you to win. We want you to win, okay? This is what we want. We want you to win. So we're going to make the questions a little bit easier for you. And I kind of thought, well, listen, you know what? I sort of want to have a fighting chance, is what I want. It's not a social club. I sort of want to have a fighting chance, okay? But, yeah, okay, give me easy questions. So they asked me, maybe I'm not supposed to say this, they asked me what topics I was good at and what topics I was not so good at. And here's the thing, here's where I've let myself down. My ego made me tell them I was good at all topics. Now, they went through it. History, I said, yeah, 5.
Brilliant.
There's a 1 to 5, right? History, well, ask me a historical question.
All right. Okay. Who... All right.
Here we go.
Okay,
This is it.
Which king won his future wife over by repeatedly pushing her over in the mud and pulling her hair?
Okay, well, you just get your facts from horrible histories.
So?
It's one of the Henrys.
No.
No, it wasn't. It was George II.
No.
There we go. It was one of the Georges.
No.
It wasn't Prince Philip, was it?
No.
Okay, who was it?
William the Conqueror.
Oh, well, that's a stupid question.
That's
not. That's a stupid question.
Do you want another one?
No, not really, because you just come up with stupid questions, it would appear. Geography, I said 5. Fashion, I said 5.
Really?
Yeah, fashion,
Okay.
I said 5.
Okay, which fashion designer came up with a new look?
Just, right, can you go out and sort everything out, please? Because I'm starting to get annoyed now. Right? I'm starting to get annoyed.
Are you avoiding the question?
Yeah, get. I was up. DKNY, Donna Karen. I got that right.
Oh my.
I got that right. Dear God. Ay. Just, you know, I'm starting to lose the will to do this. Ah, man alive. I'm getting very thrown.
Hello.
I don't want to be thrown. I want to be relaxed. It's like feeding time at the zoo. So the latest theory is that Maddie fell down a well. That's the latest theory.
Right.
A detective who rejected the opportunity to head the Madeleine McCann inquiry believes finding her could be almost impossible. Colin Sutton told a TV documentary that her body could have been buried down any one of 600 ancient wells.
Oh my God.
Near the Portuguese resort of Praia de Luz, from where she vanished 2007. 2007. And he predicted the Metropolitan Police stood little chance of finding her, despite recently being handed extra cash to continue their search. Controversial. Sutton said investigators faced a thankless task and added, "It's almost impossible without specific intelligence that would allow you to focus on a specific area." You know, I just got a feeling. I got a feeling it's gonna be. We're never gonna know the answer to that. We're never gonna know the answer to that.
No, the longer time goes on, you do wonder.
You do wonder. I'm not one of these that think they did it, or, you know, because they get such abuse, the McCanns. It's a horrible, horrible abuse. Cue loads of people tweeting me the websites that prove, beyond any doubt, that the McCanns did it. Because every time you mention it, you get sent, but have you read this blog by an anonymous officer that actually worked on it and was the first on the scene? And you give all these facts and all these conspiracy theories that prove the McCanns did it.
David Baddiel said something really wise this week.
Go on.
Conspiracy theories make idiots feel like intellectuals.
Ooh. Do you buy any conspiracy theories, then? I don't buy 9/11. I think it was done by, I think it was done by a group of terrorists. Don't buy that America were behind it. I don't buy that they blew up the sorry? What is this? Is there someone there?
Hello?
Yeah, put the phone down.
No, I'm just calling to confirm that I was the last caller from the other day.
No, put the phone down.
No.
Put the phone down.
No.
Because we're not taking any phone calls.
No, I really... I just want to confirm...
I'm going to confirm that you're going to get a bunch of fives in your fat gob in a minute. Put the phone down.
You put the phone down.
You get stuffed.
Up your bum.
You'd love that, wouldn't you?
You would.
Right. Why is he still here?
I don't know why he's still...
Gone. Right, okay. Okay, all right.
He's the reason.
Right, I don't know who this is, but we're not taking calls.
Ian, I've got something important.
I don't care, Jerry. We don't take phone calls anymore.
Take me off, thanks.
Right, we don't take phone calls anymore.
Gosh, when will they learn?
So I'm doing the chase, right? And it's me, Shappy, Jenny McAlpine, Fizz from Coronation Street, Stanley Johnson. And what that means is that we're going to spend at least 2 hours of the show pre-record having the rules explained to us in minute detail. That's all we do in Australia was Stanley would go, can you just go over the rules? He goes, Stanley, let them finish reading the rules once, and then you can ask your poxy question about whether you're supposed to put the bugs in your mouth or down your penis foreskin.
I wouldn't mind, but he still got it wrong. And everyone let him off with
He
it.
was medically exempt from all of them.
The counting.
So we're doing the chase, and I'm thrilled, right? And I've got to practice the chase, because I'll be fine at that.
Which fashion designer came up with a new look?
Well, that's irrelevant. The question, they asked me 20 questions on the phone. I got 11 right. I would have got 2 or 3 more right, but I was in a noisy Starbucks, and I was getting bored.
Right.
It had been quite a long phone call of about 8 or 9 minutes. Okay. So it had been going on for quite a bit. I was bored. Yeah. But I got DKNY, Donna Karen. I got that.
Well,
that was no.
If that's the question, you're in.
Yeah, exactly. That was the question that was the question then, and I got it right. Donna Karen. They asked. I'm trying to think of another question that they asked me. Let me think of one that they. Oh, okay. What Roman structure? Hang on a minute. I mean, I've got to Google it because I can't quite remember the question, but I know I got the answer right.
Yeah.
I got that. So let me just. Right, who is that?
Listen, you well-nonce, alright?
What did you call me?
A well-nonce.
Right, well-nonce and a tit. Right. Okay. What Roman structure's highest point is? Right, who is there? We're not taking phone calls. Here we go. What Roman structure's highest point is at windshields?
What? Windshields?
What Roman structure's highest point is at windshields? I got this.
All right.
Sometimes
It's got to be an easy one then.
No. Sometimes you just got to take a punt.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a calculated guess. That's the.
Colosseum.
All right, I'll make it easy for you. Windshields is in the United Kingdom.
Oh, Hadrian's Wall then.
Yeah, but you're out because you said the Colosseum because you're an idiot. Windshields is obviously a British name. Obviously.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know what that meant.
Well, yeah. Well, it's obvious. You've got to work out. Here's the thing about general knowledge, right? You don't actually have to know everything generally.
Listen, mate,
Right. What the fuck? So I've dumped that because I'm so angry. Sorry, Periscopers and you. What is going on? Who even is this? Right. I'm really starting
I
to
don't find that funny.
Throw Iain Lee down the well so your country can be free.
Right. I don't even know how they're getting through now. This is bullshine. So what that is, apologies for the people on the YouTube channel for the foul language, the coarse. That was coarse language, and that was beneath me. But what with all the well-nonce stuff, what with all the cabbies, what with all of that stuff, it's just...
It's getting tense again, and that's not the point,
not
is it?
the point of it. I'll tell you what, let's lighten the mood. Let's do a light-hearted story.
Please.
Freed pedo...
Oh, God.
Rolf Harris played a didgeridoo and performed his old songs at a party last week. The disgraced entertainer invited 70 pals and family members to the bash days before his 88th birthday. Harris wanted to thank his guests, including former Kids Teddy favourite Timmy Mallet, for standing by him during his time in prison for child sex abuse. This is an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, he's out now. Is he supposed to never do anything remotely fun again?
Yeah. Oh, there'll be people that would say that. Of course there will.
Well, then keep him in prison.
It's interesting because of course you're allowed, once you come out of prison, of course you're allowed to have birthday parties and invite and see friends.
And smile.
You know, what he did was awful. You know, and I don't think there's any remorse from him. I think he would still say he was innocent. It wasn't me, Gov. It was a stitch up when the due legal process has found him very, very guilty of, you know, crimes against children, rape. But yeah, once you're out of prison, you're allowed to kind of do what you want within the confines of the law.
I mean, to me, this is like saying freed paedophile went to the shops. Like, that's a big scandal. Who's this?
Right, I don't even know how they're getting through now. Who is that? Is your mummy there? Is your mummy there? Is that a child?
Is that a cat down a well?
Oh.
People are very cruel, aren't they?
He was supported by a backing band as he performed hits such as Two Little Boys at his home in Berkshire. Still, the son have had fun with it. There's a picture of him holding a didgeridoo, and there's a speech bubble saying, if only we could tie his didgeridoo down.
That's a bit inappropriate, isn't it?
A source said it was a very jovial night with lots of singing, dancing and joking. Rolf seemed in his element, performing his old hits with the help of a band and with his trusty didgeridoo. Don't forget, of course, we now have conclusive proof that when a source says it is made up, it is completely made up. There were huge cheers after his songs and everyone seemed to have a great time. More than 70 people were invited and Timmy was the best known of all of them. Harris's wife, Olwen there is Olwen. It's Olwen, that is. It's a Welsh name, isn't it? It's a Welsh name, is Olwen. 86 was also at the party and stood with a Zimmer frame close to her husband in case he made a run for it. She could smack him around the head. I'm joking, eh? Come on, guys. The couple's daughter, Bindi, 53, was also there. Artist and TV personality Harris was freed from prison last year. He'd served 3 years of a near 6-year sentence for historic sex crimes against girls aged between 7 and 19.
Yeah, I don't think they were rape, were they?
Well, it could be argued that any inappropriate, sexual, I would argue
from a legal point of view.
Okay, yeah. But I would argue that the non-penetrative sexual acts could also be classed as rape. But yes, you're well done for the clarification.
Well, just in case, you know what I mean?
You don't want to get sued. You don't want to get sued by a pedo, do you? Yeah, that's the worst kind of. Well, it's not the worst. That's a terrible humiliation.
Well, we lost jobs because of a bigot. So.
Oh God, didn't we just? Oh, didn't we just? 87222 is the telephone number if you want to text us. Start your text with the word talk, 25 pence plus your standard network charge. If you want to email us, you go to talkradio.co.uk. And we're having a little bit of problem with the phones tonight in as much as we don't take phone calls anymore, and somehow some people seem to be sneaking through I think they've found like the studio direct line or something. I don't know. But that is out of order. So we will have none of that, please. This is the late night alternative on Talk Radio.
Live and on DAB.
We are Talk
Radio.
Yep.
Give it some lip.
Get behind the wheel and set off on a radical road trip as Talk Radio serves up Julia's continental breakfast with Eurotunnel the Shuttle. Register now at talkradio.co.uk/competitions and you could win Eurotunnel FlexiPlus tickets and an incredible voucher worth £1,500 to rent a Novasol holiday home on the continent. Tuck into Julia's continental breakfast all this week on Talk Radio with Eurotunnel the Shuttle. With a 35-minute crossing time, Eurotunnel is the fastest way to cross the channel by car.
Hello, I'm your smoke alarm. I'm just hanging out up here on the ceiling. Could you possibly get up here and test me by pressing my button? I meant kind of like now. You seem to spend a lot of time pressing buttons on your phone. But can your phone wake you and your family up in the night to save your lives? Because I can, if I'm working. So remembering to test me is crucial. How about we take it from the top? Hello, I'm your smoke alarm. Please test me now.
Smoke alarms. They need to work to keep you safe. Press to test. Monthly is best.
Right, sandcastle's finished. So, what now? Swimming, crazy golf, tennis, the arcades, the water slides?
All of them.
Ready to join millions of families across the UK and Europe on a Holtz from £15 only with the Sun? Oh yeah! Pick up the Sun and start collecting this Saturday. T's and C's apply.
Have I got PPI?
Want to know if you've had PPI? Find out with our free PPI check. Emmanuel received over £2,400 on her Barclaycard.
I'd already attempted to claim back PPI, but with no success, so I wasn't hopeful when I first contacted Stanton Fisher, but I was pleasantly surprised.
With the claim deadline set for August 2019, text check to 80800 for your free PPI check.
Have I got PPI.com?
That's check to 80800.
Hello, I'm here at a McDonald's drive-thru with Steve, who witnessed something legendary. What happened?
I was just driving when I saw a guy eating a crispy coated chicken breast fillet with delicate peppery notes in a bakehouse roll.
And then?
I hurried over to this drive-thru and I've been trying to decide which sauce to have.
Smoky barbecue, surely.
With your choice of cool mayo, hot and spicy mayo or barbecue sauce, experience the Chicken Legend range at McDonald's. Served from 10:30am, subject to availability, participating restaurants only.
It's electric, it's eclectic, it's always rule-free. It's the late-night alternative with that man, Iain Lee, on Talk Radio.
Right. Listen to this idiot, right, on Twitter. King Midas in reverse, except he's an idiot. Leaving the phones up so we can hear every oddball is obviously a device so you can lose it. If it bothered you that much, then the lines would simply be off air. Is this an experiment? Well done, mate, because you obviously haven't got a clue how phone lines in a studio work. But well done, fair play. You obviously haven't got a clue, mate. And do you know what? You are blocked. There we go, blocked. That'll learn them. Right. Oh, for crying out loud! Actually, this one's quite clever. Someone's done, you know the pop group Wilson Phillips?
Yeah.
They've done Wilson Phillips, and I'm one of them.
What do you think about these new whirly boots?
Like, right, that's
abuse.
Okay. Okay, starting to get annoyed with these people now. Right, okay, so, 87222 if you want to send us a text. Start your text with the word talk, 25 pence plus your standard network charge. Where do you sit on, classical music?
Some of it I like, some of it's just headache, isn't it?
If any callers get through, we're just going to ignore them, and then we've got engineers who are remotely accessing the phone box thing, so they're going to just cut them off, and we have been told to ignore them. We haven't got faders in here, because about a year ago, Paul Ross poured coffee on them.
On purpose.
On purpose. I'd like to get it. I like a little bit of Haydn. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
And you're surprised that I pronounced it correctly, aren't you?
Whistle me one.
Because most people say Haydn. Well, I've got... I don't know if I've got it on this computer. No, I did about 10, 15 years ago. I heard a bit of Haydn that I liked. And, I have actually. I believe this is Haydn, isn't it? I think it's... Is this Haydn?
know this particular work.
No? I'm pretty sure that's Haydn. And,
Have you got any Rachmaninoff?
Yes.
That's my favourite.
Somewhere.
Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Somewhere I have. Yeah, here we go. I think there's... Yeah.
So moving. I want that at my funeral.
If I'm completely honest, my favourite, and this is Vaughan Williams, The Lark Ascending. Let me play you a little bit of it here. Here we go. That just gets me every time.
Oh, beautiful.
No, genuinely, Vaughan Williams' The Lark Ascending is my favourite bit, because this is true, and I should have this on here. I've probably got it on here. The jokes to, one, have I got it on this one? This, honestly, right, just ignore it, and it'll go away.
Clicked in right now.
Just ignore it. This is it. Where is he gone? Just ignore it, and it goes away. Hang on a minute. Oh, yes, here we go. Play. No, that's not it. Hang on.
London's LBC
No.
97.3.
No, that's not it. No. Okay, I haven't got
Okay, well, I'll get the general idea.
I haven't got it. But that is amazing, right? And I heard a documentary. I heard the last. I remember this was years ago. The tail end of a documentary about that piece of music, right? And I was at my computer in the flat I lived in, and I was just transfixed. I didn't know anything about Vaughan Williams. Didn't know anything, and I was just transfixed. And it was like flipping out. What is it? I Shazammed it, right? And God, it's incredible.
Didn't his widow or wife live near Alan Bennett?
Yeah, they both live near Alan Bennett. Oh. It honestly, there's a bit in it. It goes on for ages. Let me play a little bit. It's 15 minutes long, right? Oh, and half good. There's a bit in it where it just makes me cry. It just suddenly hits you. This bit's a little bit fey, but then you get along it and it's like... That bit's a little bit fey. Get to the end. I can't find it. But honestly, it's incredible. It's incredible, and it just gets you in the chest. And it's... I've had very few profundo experiences like that. And that was one of them.
You get a bit of duende.
I didn't get duende because it was so British. Because it's very British. No, he's not. He's very English. But I'd like...
Isn't that a Welsh name, though?
No, but it's... Right, that is... Okay. It doesn't matter. Because... but I'd like to get into classical music. But it's the same as going into a record shop and going... I've heard a lot about this rock music, and I'd like to get into it. Could you tell me where I should start, please? I mean, what do you do with instructions like that? Because first of all, what is rock? Rock isn't rock and roll. Is rock like Led Zeppelin? Is rock the Beatles? Is pop the Beatles? What?
Similarly, so classical music, you've got the Baroque period.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff.
So
that's twiddly, as far as I can understand.
I wouldn't have a clue where to start. Obviously, you got your big hitters. You've got... Well,
your Beethovens.
Is it which one is it where there's two of them, but they're like 100 years apart? Is it Bach? Isn't there, aren't there two?
Strauss.
I thought there were two Bachs. And there was Bach, there's Johann Sebastian.
Yeah.
But then there's
man.
Yeah, but then there's I don't know, Winston Mohammed Bach or something. I don't know. I've literally just picked those names out of my head. But I maybe it's not too. Anyway, there's two of them, and they're different dudes.
What kind of music? Like waltzes?
I don't know. Anyway, very loud and noisy and completely without artistic merit. It sounds like a brutal verdict from Simon Cowell on some wannabes' musical efforts. I had to talk about the X Factor today on Good Morning Britain, and I kind of, because I don't want to go on there and be all negative. I seem to be going on there a lot and being, well, I've never seen it, I don't like it. But I do have very strong feelings about the X Factor.
I know you do.
Very strong feelings about the X Factor. And I did say I can't watch it. And, Kate Garraway said, well, you can't watch it, but it's great. I said, I can't watch it, and it's the auditions in particular that really upset me. She goes, oh, they're the best bits. And so I didn't feel confident enough to say, I think the auditions for the X Factor exploit mentally ill people and the deeply untalented. They do, because to get onto the thing where you're actually stood in front of the judges, you have to audition in front of some researchers, right? And what they'll do is they'll get people who are deeply untalented and people who are often, mentally confused, and will say, and they're obviously awful and they're the ones that people are going to laugh at, right? And they'll say, wow, I can't tell you what they're going to do, but I just know that Simon in particular, and Louis probably, they're going to love that act. Could we get you to sign a release form, and then we'll invite you to the televised auditions?
I tell you what, when you go in, I love what you're doing. Could you just give it a little bit more?
And I must admit, I laughed at the first few years of it, but then I saw what was going on. I saw the machine. The cruel television is a very cruel place, much crueler than radio. Although radio can be particularly cruel, particularly if you're a bitchy has-been, who's on a, God knows what time of the day that no one's listening. Oh, meow. But television is a very cruel place, and it is like Christians to the lions.
Mm.
It is that spectacle. We want a spectacle of someone being destroyed, and we've had callers to this show that have gone on, that have phoned up full of excitement and said, oh, I'm going to be on the X Factor. And you think, I know that you're very passionate about what you do, and I know that you're a great believer in what you do. I also know that what you do is so far out of the mainstream that you're going to be a laughing stock. They're going to laugh at you. And, but there's nothing really you can say, because these people often think that this is the ticket. This is their chance to shine.
And you can understand that. The worst thing is when they've managed to coax them into saying things like, I'm not going back to work at Asda.
Yeah.
I can't go back there. You think,
Yeah.
don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that, because you may well be back there, even if you get into the rounds.
Yeah.
You may have to go back there. I sometimes wonder whether they've seen it.
CJ's just tweeted me, who wrote War of the Worlds? Well, that, of course, was Jeff Wayne. Yeah. That's a great musical. So I didn't feel confident saying that on camera, to say, well, actually, I think it's exploitative, because I know it's a big show for ITV, and it's, as if what I'm doing is going to kind of lose them viewers or anything. So I felt a little bit bad about it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. They're going to do it remotely.
You sure you don't want me to go out and...
No, it's done. There we go. In fact, so this is a top 10 classical pieces of music from the Classic FM Hall of Fame.
Oh, and they know.
And they know, because I don't know if you've ever been in a posh doctor's surgery, not a common one on a council estate. I'm talking about a posh one, like the ones where I go to. They will have Classic FM.
Oh, mine's Radio 2. But at least it's not heart.
Well, it's because you're quite common. You might find some of the posher dentists, like the one I go to, will also have classic FM playing, because it really does
Drown out the screams.
It drowns out the pained screams. Anyway, so here's the top 10. It's just ignore it and they'll go away. In fact, it's Tchaikovsky's own assessment of his 1812 overture, which was... Oh, that was... Yeah, well, just put the phone down, mate, because you're going to get cut off in a second by the engineers anyway. There we go, he did, thank you. Well, respect...
Well, there was a little bit of...
Losing focus here.
Gentlemanly conduct.
It's Tchaikovsky's own assessment of his 1812 overture, which was yesterday revealed as the UK's favourite piece of classical music. It came first in the Classic FM Hall of Fame 2018. Well done, Tchaikovsky. Knocking Ralph Vaughan Williams. Hang on a minute. His name's Ralph. I thought his name was Vaughan. Is Vaughan Williams his surname? It must be.
Stage name.
No, it must be, because we've got Mozart, Beethoven, Vaughan Williams.
Ralph Vaughan Williams. Rafe.
Maybe I got the wrong...
Hang on. Oh, that's us.
Yeah, I know, mate. Well done. As lucky as what I just said there. Maybe I got the wrong thing. Fantasia on a thing. Maybe I got the wrong... I think I might have played the wrong bit of music. Did I? What is that? Hang on a minute. This might be it. Yeah, this is it. I played the wrong bit of music. This is it. This is the Vaughan Williams. Do you know this? I'm going to be honest, this bit of music makes me cry, and it makes me come.
Whoa!
So...
Could you switch it off, please?
Let's get some tissues. It's going to get moist in here. Honestly, listen to it. It's that...
Oh! Alright, can you...
No.
I don't want you...
Oh, flipping it.
He knew what to do with them strings, didn't he? You alright? As the Greeks would say. That is a stunning bit of music. And now part of me's thinking, well, can we play the whole 16 minutes? Of course we can't. But it really is... Oh, baby, you know what I like. Chantilly lace and a pretty face. It does it, man. It does it. That Sunday afternoon is light a candle, play that, let it finish, and then meditate on it. Oh, God. It's just, here we go, 13 minutes in. Let's get to the end, listen to the end. That little resolve at the end.
Oh, it's incredible, man. It's incredible. Let's have a break.
Talk Radio. Contact Talk Radio. Call 0344 499 1000. Text Talk and your message to 87222. Text costs 25p plus your standard network rate. Or you can tweet us at Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
We'll get you talking.
You sure?
With breakdown cover from the AA, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure your big wheels keep on turning. Our mechanics usually fix your car within 30 minutes of arriving. Breakdown cover from the AA, because anything can happen.
We like to talk about what we know about at Glowworm, like the practical training for new installers and the 499 checks we do on our boilers before they leave the factory. Did I mention 30 quid cash back and a free 7-year warranty with every registered install from our energy boiler range on our Plumbing Toolbox app?
The Glowworm Energy Boiler range starts at $599 with a 7-year warranty and a £30 cash reward. Download our app or find out more at glowworm.co.uk. Glowworm,
Easy does it. Terms and conditions apply. See glowworm.co.uk for more details. In the new Sun mobile app, you have all this. TV and showbiz exclusives and football and breaking news and money-saving tips and scores and travel and fashion and beauty trends and celebs and real-life stories and Dear Deirdre and sports and gossip and alerts that make sure you stay ahead of the game. And you can personalise your news feed so you only see the things you love. And it's free. Ideal. Download the new Sun mobile app. It's totally Sun-packed.
Are you listening, mums and dads? There's zillions of big brand bargains for kids at TK Maxx. Cool labels for me, my annoying little sister, and even poopy babies. Relax, you'll find a big label for yourself too. We don't want any tantrums now, do we?
TK Maxx. Big labels, small prices.
Ridiculous possibilities.
In store and online.
A tough and overgrown lawn never gets in the way of the McCulloch man when there's a match on. Like a powerful striker with his McCulloch lawnmower. He has the power to get the job done, cutting the lawn down to size well before the pre-match build-up, leaving it looking good enough to host the Cup final. Get your McCulloch lawnmower and other garden power tools at good DIY stores nationwide or at McCulloch.com. McCulloch, the power to get the job done.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
A radio star is born.
You're going to love
Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. On the hour news headlines.
Good morning, I'm Carl Hartley. Police in California have confirmed a number of people are being treated in hospital after reports of a shooting at the YouTube headquarters.
We have 4 victims who have all been transported for gunshot-related injuries, and we have 1 subject who is deceased inside the building with a self-inflicted wound that at this time we believe to be the shooter, but we're still following up on that.
San Bruno Police Chief Ed Barberini told reporters officers have been conducting a slow search of the building to make sure it's clear. A spokesman for San Francisco General Hospital says it's received 3 patients. 1 man is in a critical condition. President Trump has tweeted saying his thoughts and prayers are with everybody involved. Back here, and police have launched a murder investigation after a 16-year-old boy died from injuries following a shooting in London. The attack took place in Walthamstow. It happened shortly after a separate shooting in Tottenham where a 17-year-old girl was shot dead. Now, Britain's Chemical Weapons Lab has admitted it hasn't been able to prove Russia made the nerve agent used in the Salisbury attack. The boss of Porton Down says it wasn't his expert's job, and the government says plenty of other evidence led to the conclusion Moscow was to blame. Dozens of countries have since expelled Russian diplomats. US President Donald Trump says America's kicked out 60 embassy staff.
There's nobody been tougher on Russia. And with that being said, I think I could have a very good relationship with President Putin. I think. It's possible I won't. And remember this, getting along with Russia is a good thing. Getting along with other countries is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Police in Florida say 4 members of a family from Bristol have died in a car crash after their sat-nav directed them to an illegal U-turn. They were on holiday in the state. And Austin Powers actor Vern Troyer is in hospital where he's reportedly being treated for possible alcohol poisoning. The star, who played Mini-Me in the comedy films, was admitted last night. Rain moving north across England and Wales overnight, staying wet in Scotland with hill snow spreading into northwest England later on. A mix of sunshine and showers are likely for many.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
Speakers up, please. Bloody Lennon. I'll get you, bloody Lennon. This is the Late Night Alternative. We don't take phone calls anymore, although someone has posted, and I found the website where they posted it. They've posted a way you can hack the system. We're getting that page taken down. So if we hear anything, we just ignore it and we move on and we carry on the show as per usual. Anyway, number 1 was Tchaikovsky.
He's quite good, yeah.
He's good. So I thought we could do tonight. We were going to read. Remember ages ago? Lots of new listeners. Some of them won't know. But ages ago, we read some chapters from the Gene Wilder, one of Gene Wilder's many autobiographies. I believe he's had many autobiographies. And I didn't know how deliciously nuts that book was going to be. And it was quite astounding. Quite astounding. And I thought, you know, what are we going to do now? We don't have callers. Okay, well, we can read another book. And I've got another book here, which I bought for you, Catherine, about a year ago, and you've not read it.
No, you can see how far I got.
But
Don't lose my page.
Get to page 51. All right. So this is right.
Don't lose my page.
This is bloody hell, December 2016. I bought that. There's the receipt. You got to page 51. Probably
Fall
page
asleep
50.
a lot.
Right. So this is the Tom Baker autobiography. Who on earth is Tom Baker? Right. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, I would say the most messed up, most honest, most brutal, most raw autobiography I've ever read. And I thought we might read some of it for the last hour of the show tonight. Ignore them.
British Government Department for Homeland Security. The British public is being advised to stay indoors, securing all doors and windows.
Okay, they've gone. So this is Who on Earth is Tom Baker? And this was written in when was this written? 1997. Introduction. Would you like to go to New Zealand to do a commercial? That's the sort of question an actor likes to hear from his agent in freezing mid-January. Certainly, I replied. What's it about? Oh, pensions, I think, replied Annette, who is the second most beautiful agent in Europe. Does that bother you? The dosh would not be light, and you could take your wife as well. First class. Suddenly, I was desperate to go to New Zealand, but 2 weeks passed and I began to forget the offer. I'd also been interviewed twice for the part of an irascible Raj man in a piece about the Indian Mutiny. Funny how all the old Raj chaps are seen as irascible. It wasn't a very good part, and I was not keen to go all the way to India just to be irascible. Fortunately, the director, looking again at his video, realised I would be no good, and I was dropped. So to pass the time, I went down to the village and had my hair cut short. Life can be dull in the country, and a haircut can sometimes be high drama. I gave the girl cutter a good tip for laughing at my jokes and went back home. My wife was looking out of the window as I drove on. New Zealand is on, she said. They want you to leave in 8 days' time and to do the job as an old Doctor Who. Oh, you've had your hair cut. I spoke to Annette and she confirmed the job and the dosh. June Hudson, one of my favourite designers from the BBC days, agreed to get the costumes ready with the help of Angels, the costumiers, and I took my trousers to the cleaners. It was a wild few days. The alterations to the old costumes were done with great tact. June even managed to locate an original scarf from Madame Tussauds Waxworks, where I am still unmelted after all these years. The scarf, being 25 feet long, was, along with the boots, the only part of my old costume to fit me. So, 8 days later, on a Thursday morning, after a nice ride in a limousine, my wife Sue and I arrived at Heathrow's Terminal 3 and I checked in. I cannot tell you how much I was looking forward to going Air New Zealand. Haymaking in January. Everybody had assured me it was a very special experience. Everybody was right. Why has one of my tickets... I'm afraid one of your tickets has been cancelled, sir, said a charming contralto at the check-in desk. What's a contralto?
It's the pitch of a voice, isn't it? So it's kind of a medium, rich voice, I'd say.
Why has one of my tickets been cancelled, I asked. I don't want to pry, you understand, but I had planned on sitting next to my wife all the way to New Zealand and back on your airline. Would you come with me, madam, said the contralto, and my dear wife meekly followed her out of my sight. Meantime, to avoid falling into a berserk attack, I struck up a conversation with the rather fraught-looking parents of a 14-year-old boy. Their problem dwarfed mine. As my wife would not be allowed to sit on my knee all the way across the world, all I needed was another seat. These anxious parents had ordered 10 bottles of oxygen for their frail child. But surely nothing has gone wrong, I murmured in bedside tones. I'm afraid it has, said the father sorrowfully. There's no oxygen and the plane leaves in 40 minutes. Just then, my wife returned with her helper and told me that a solution could not be found. The impulse for a berserk attack came rushing back, swept to my head in a few pints of blood by the feel of it. The contralto looked at me anxiously. My wife looked at me anxiously. I looked at them both anxiously and wondered how long it had been since an old man went berserk at their check-in desk. My meditation was interrupted by the arrival of one of the airline's male Samaritans clutching a mobile phone. There was a good deal of movement under his clean white shirt in the area of his sternum, as if his heart was trying to break out. His Adam's apple was jumping too. In fact, as he gasped hello to me, I caught a clear view of his uvula? Uvula?
Uvula.
Uvula?
Yeah, that's the woggly bit at the back of your throat. Yeah.
And the bit that looks
Tom
like...
and Jerry.
Yeah. It was fluttering audibly. "We may have found a solution, sir," he panted. I smiled encouragingly at him. "Yes, sir, we found 2 seats for you, sir." I clapped my hands gently together in the manner of a sophisticated Jap and said, "Why, that's wonderful." "The only thing is, sir," added the Samaritan, "they're broken." "What are broken?" I asked. "The seats, sir," smiled the saint from customer services. I matched his smile to the millimetre as I inquired, "What do you mean by broken?" "I mean the electronics are not working, sir. I mean you'd not be able to listen to the stereo or hear the soundtrack on the films." It occurred to me that these seats might be just the ticket. No sound? Great. No music or commercials from the airline? Great. The sacred sickness that a moment before might have endangered the man's life receded miraculously, and I nodded my agreement. I wished the anxious parents good luck and said I was sure that Air New Zealand were bound to solve their problem. I mean, look at how quickly they'd sorted mine. As I followed the miracle worker through secret passages which led us aboard in about 5 minutes and 20 seconds, I thought I heard the price of £800 a bottle being discussed with British Airways. They're in a good bargaining position, I thought. We were ushered onto the plane and to our newfound silent seats. To a layman like me, they seemed to be handsome seats. I longed to give myself up to them. As I approached them, my New Zealand guide was called aside for a moment by some other poor pilgrim seeking a miracle. Instantly, the cabin steward appeared at my side. This is the introduction to a book about Doctor Who, the fella that played Doctor. This is the introduction. "Do you realise what you're letting yourself in for, sir, with these seats?" And he looked at them with cruel contempt. "Oh, yes," I answered. "We won't be able to hear the soundtracks, that's all. We don't mind at all, in fact." And here I leaned towards him. "In fact, we're quite glad not to be able to hear." My wife nodded in agreement, and my relief was profound. It was also brief. "But, sir," urged the steward, "nothing works in these seats. The lights don't work, and the backs won't recline." Swiftly, I tried a seat. The steward disappeared instantly in the ensuing darkness. The reclining button was pressed, and, as a doctor, I could easily and swiftly diagnose the seat as dead. The original fixer now materialised at our elbows and then knelt down. He too had received the latest news that the seats were dead. The steward passed my wife and me a glass of champagne. It was quite good champagne. "My latest information, sir, is that these seats are very severely handicapped, sir," whispered the fixer, who couldn't mend the seats. I swigged down my drink. "But," pressed the would-be miracle worker, "but there is one seat right up front, and if either you, a little bow, or your wife, sir, got a bit fed up, you could always do turn and turn about with the good seat up front." What a great turn of phrase. You could do turn and turn about. My wife was splendid. She just smiled, shook her head and said, "I think not," and we left the plane. 16 hours after our early morning awakening at home, we left Heathrow on Singapore Airlines, and 13 hours after that, we arrived in Singapore. We'd been awake for 29 hours. A quick hour and a half in Singapore, where chewing gum is forbidden by law. Kinder eggs are banned in America, and we saw...
Yeah, because they're dangerous.
Yeah.
But you can have a gun.
We saw... some Americans greedily buying up loads of Kinder eggs.
They're going to be gutty when they realise the toys are crap these days.
Do you know what's banned in Japan? Vic Sinex.
Oh.
Yeah, Vic Sinex is banned. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? I remember I took some
What's
Vicks.
their problem?
I don't know. I took some Vic Sinex into Japan because I used to be a bit addicted to Vicks. And I was panicking that they were going to, do a McCartney on me and bang me in jail for 10 days' time. I would absolutely love someone to, Ruth's enjoying the show. Thank you, Ruth. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Thank you, Ruth. That's very kind of you, Ruth Greenwood there.
Big loves.
But no, she's enjoying it. Thank you. That means a lot. So I want someone to write. This is what I want. I want 2 books, or either 2 books or 2 documentaries about very specific periods in Paul McCartney's career. One is his movie flop, Give My Regards to Broad Street, which I find fascinating. Imagine Paul McCartney releasing a movie. He did it in about 1984, 82, 84. And the other is his 10 days he spent inside a Japanese prison.
What?
Did you not know
this?
this?
Yeah, because he got busted, didn't he?
Got busted with weed. Got busted with a lot of weed.
Was it not at Narita?
I don't know exactly where it was, but it was 1979 because they'd just been to visit John Lennon in New York, and the rumor has it that the rumor is that Yoko tipped off the Japanese authorities.
Oh, come on.
Well, it's quite a strong rumour that she tipped off the Japanese authorities that he was travelling with a massive bag of weed, and it was in Linda's handbag. They opened up Linda's handbag, and it was there. But straight away, McCartney went, "Oh, that's mine. Yeah, that's not hers. No, she didn't know that was mine." And he was in prison for 10 days. 10 days, right? And I find it fascinating. The tour was cancelled. Apparently the guards were all singing Yesterday to him. But just imagine, you're in a Japanese prison for 10 days. And you're Paul McCartney, 1980. 1970... No, it would have been 1980, actually, because Lennon died December 1980. And at that point, he was... He climbed his way back to being one of the biggest pop stars in the world. And he's in a Japanese prison.
I can see John tipping him off, but not Yoko, surely.
I mean, there's a lot about Yoko, you know. She says a lot. Singapore is chewing gum is forbidden. 30 hours and a half. This next bit was also 12 hours or so. The service was very stylish with a great deal of bowing and smiling. Continuous smiling can get to you after 30-odd hours. Sometimes you have the impression that they're smiling because they know something that you don't, and they probably do. With a smile, what else? A girl delivered a seafood omelette to my wife. But such is the charm of their style, nobody seems to look at the food with anything other than gratitude. The long hours drag by and we are a bit discouraged. Fortunately, my wife is brave and knows something about Buddhism, so she does not despair. I know nothing of such philosophy, so my suffering is meaningless. At last, 40 or so hours after getting out of our beds, we arrive, and the seafood omelette begins to do its work. My poor wife looks grey in the face at times and is unsteady on her legs. Christ, I thought, I've come all this way to be a widower. This thought turned out to be alarmist, but she was very sick indeed. Fortunately, we were in a wonderful hotel in the best seats, and there were taps which delivered luxury in torrents. My colleagues were tactful enough not to meet us off the plane, so we were able to crawl discreetly to the beds we had feared we might never see again. After a good long sleep, I met my new employers and we got ready to shoot some commercials. While I was busy at this, my wife was taken around the sights by wonderfully kind and amusing friends. One evening, my wife and I went to a harbourside restaurant for dinner and we had a very good time. It was a perfect summer's evening. The food and wine were excellent and the view over the harbour was quite delightful. The service, too, was perfect. The waiter could not have been more attentive without being importunate is a word.
Importunate.
G.K.
Importunate. Yeah.
G.K. Chesterton once said that all dining out begins with fear of the waiter. Oh, I like that. Not in New Zealand, it doesn't. In London, yes. Their dining out begins with fear of the waiter and ends with the same feeling. And as I looked up at our perfect waiter, I nearly passed out. I was looking into the mysterious liquid eyes of Sir Anthony Hopkins. I was stupefied. Why didn't he notice that I was close to fainting? I watched him working his table magic all over the place. A deep melancholy tingled with affection. What? Yes, sadness and love. Old love, to be more exact. In a driven whisper, I remarked on this discovery to my wife. Yes, she said, it is Anthony Hopkins. But what would Sir Anthony be doing as a waiter in New Zealand? In London, one would not be surprised to be waited on by, say, Michael Caine or Jeremy Irons, though, of course, Irons only waits on insomniacs who are very grateful and make up the majority of his fans. But Anthony Hopkins as a waiter? A butler, yes, we've all seen the remains of the day, but a waiter? At the Ferry House in Auckland, New Zealand? Is it possible? As he brought my main dish and placed it in front of me with perfect grace and tact, I allowed my hand to touch his, not in a marked manner, but accidentally, as it were. The effect on me was electric, just like the old days. The effect on Sir Anthony was imperceptible. Perhaps he'd forgotten me, I thought, and my heart dropped like a stone. I saw the wonderful liquid eyes that work their magic on all around me. I saw and remembered that marvellous enigmatic smile of so long ago. He seemed to be paying an awful lot of attention to a rather dreary-looking man with a very high forehead and his blonde female companion who only had one leg. They also felt that they were being served by a knight that evening, and both seemed to be shaking uncontrollably. Looking closer at the blonde, I realised that she did have two legs, but that in the manner so typical of certain blondes, she was sitting on the invisible one. Soon the whole area realised who the waiter was, and the place simply bristled with static. "Why doesn't he recognise me?" I asked my wife sadly. "Perhaps it isn't really Tony Hopkins," she suggested. "Perhaps he's just a lookalike." "Perhaps he is," I muttered, and I called for the bill. Sir Anthony materialised at my elbow and said, "Your bill is taken care of, sir," and he smiled strangely and away he went. Isn't life cruel? As I gaped in astonishment at my wife, another waiter came up and asked me if everything was all right. All right? How could everything be all right? Why didn't I just nod and say, "Fine, fine, thank you"? But no. I said that I understood my bill had been paid and that I was surprised. The waiter knew all about it. He said, "The gentleman who paid your bill is at the bar, sir. He says he's an admirer of yours and knows you, sir, and would like to say hello." The romance dropped out of the evening. An admirer? I looked at my wife and sighed. "A fan," I whispered. We both guessed that this acceptance of a dinner might lead to 2 hours of talk on the history of Doctor Who. The waiter offered to lead us and we got up from our table. I nearly fell into the harbour as I had one last look around for Sir Anthony. We entered the bar and the waiter signalled towards a tall figure standing in a strong light. He was smiling quizzically at me. I looked at him carefully and was about to say that there was no need for him to pay my bill when a tiny feeling of unease hit me. His steady smile unsettled me for a moment. Then, ever the master of the meaningless and bullshitting inquiry, I said, "Is your name Morgan by any chance?" The man shook his head, though now his smile seemed ironical. "No," he said. "My name is Baker, P.S. Baker. I'm your son."
Oh.
I could taste again the garlic in the lamb I'd just eaten. "Piers?" I whispered. He nodded and glanced from me to my wife, and still he smiled. I looked towards my wife too and saw that she was smiling with real delight. "Piers," I thought to myself. "It's Piers, my son Piers." I put out my hand to him and he took it firmly, holding on to it. I remember him being born. I remember wanting to call him Solomon and allowing myself to be bullied out of it by Constance the Fury. I said, "This is Sue, my wife," and the memories would not stop as I saw him as a baby. I could not have known of the grief to come. My suicide, my attempted murder of Constance, all the losses. Of course I couldn't have known. And now here he was, Piers. He ordered drinks with great confidence. I looked at him, and suddenly I thought, perhaps all yet may be well. Perhaps this is a new beginning. And still he smiled, and it was fine to see him. Oh, Piers. That's the flipping introduction to the book! And it's great because he throws in at the end, yeah, my suicide and the fact I tried to kill my first wife. It's some book, guys. It is some book. Ruth is really enjoying the show. Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate that a lot. Very, very kind words indeed. This is the Late Night Alternative with me, Iain Lee and Catherine Boyle on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
We've got entertainment and we're not afraid to use it. Talk Radio.
This is the sound of pen on paper, but it's also the sound of a thank you note. Because saying thank you is important. We're with you. So we're saying thank you with British Gas Rewards, including free energy days. Join today. When you're with British Gas, we're with you. Terms and conditions apply.
This is where the story begins.
Augusta National, where the only thing predictable is the unpredictable.
Where risk brings reward.
pace. It's excellent pace. It's good lane. And McElroy birdies the 72nd.
Where the fearless are favoured.
Tiger's got it. He's still got it.
Where heroes live. Sky Sports Golf. The only place to see all 4 days of the 2018 Masters live.
What's he saying? I might
charge an electric car?
How quickly can I do it?
How far can you go on one charge?
How much can I save? Can I charge it at home?
So I need a house with its right.
Can you get an electric shock off? If I plug in on mobile phone, will the car push you? Can they go in car washes?
Got questions about owning an electric car? Get the answers at goultralow.com.
Right, sandcastle's finished. So, what now? Swimming? Crazy golf? Tennis? The arcades? Water slides?
All of them.
That is him, isn't it?
Ready to join millions of families across the UK and Europe on a halts from £15 only with The Sun? Oh yeah! Pick up The Sun and start collecting this Saturday. T's and C's apply.
Jerry! You've watched the cult TV show, you've seen the controversial opera, you've read the best-selling book, and you've drunk the intoxicating aftershave. Now, check out the Jerry Springer Radio Show, right here only on talkRADIO. Join me, Jerry Springer, live on tape from a coffee shop in Kentucky, and enjoy the very best conversation, recreation, and just a little caffeination. It's Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery on the Jerry Springer Radio Show.
This Sunday morning through 6.
Only Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Experience the unconventional, the unpredictable, and the completely unorthodox.
Exactly.
With rule-free Iain Lee. The late night alternative with Iain Lee.
I've got no internet for the last 4 days.
On Talk Radio.
I won't read the rest of the book. It's a cracking book, Tom Baker's autobiography. It really is. It really is absolutely stunning. He talks, you talk about mental health. This is 20 years ago. And he goes into talking about suicide, about, I think he was, his first wife, I don't know if she physically abused him. She might have done. She certainly mentally abused him and belittled him and humiliated him, along with her mother. And made his life an absolute misery. Absolute misery. I mean, it's a great book, and I met Tom Baker when I was because my dad used to work at the BBC, right? He used to I don't know if he was in charge of it. I always got the impression he ran it, but I don't know if that's true. The props department, right? At the old television centre, which is now a hotel and flats, and actually, strangely enough, that's where Good Morning Britain is moving to. There's still some studios there, yeah. Oh. So next week they're doing a week of there's still about 3 or 4 studios there apparently, and on Tuesday I'm doing a fake Good Morning Britain. Like a test, a run through from the new studio. So I'll be doing it, but it won't be on the air. And then I think I'm on Good Morning Britain on Wednesday next week. I think it's a busy old week. But so as kids, quite often on a Saturday, maybe not that often, but we would get to go. Me and my sister Jo would get to go to hang out at the BBC in the props department. And the props department is the cool place, right? Because and he'd take us around and he'd show us, the cafes. He used to call them crash bars, bizarrely. And he'd walk us through the studios, and we'd walk around and all of this, and we'd meet all of his dodgy mates and stuff. And then we'd sit in his office and watch telly. That was it, really.
Where was his office? Because I went in the props department once, and there was loads of cages. It was like a big warehouse.
Yeah,
loads of cages.
Yeah. It was there. It was around there somewhere.
Oh my!
And it just felt as a 6-year-old. Can you Google for me Doctor Who Robots of Death, Tom Baker? I think it's called Robots of Death. Just want to know what year it was. I'm going to say 79. As a young kid, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, it was just the most exciting place, because you'd be in the crash bar.
77. 29th of January to 19th of February.
Blimey. Show me, is there a picture of them? Show me a picture of the Robots of Death, because I want to make sure I've got that. That seems particularly early. Yeah, flipping heck. Right, okay, fine. Well, then I was 4 when I met Tom Baker, right? 4 when I met Tom Baker.
And it was in a crash, and you'd see like people from the telly all the time, and you know, whatever, you see people from the Anedin line and all of that stuff. But I was in a crash bar, these calves, with my dad, and my dad went, "Here, have a look who's over there," and in strode Tom Baker in full Doctor Who regalia, the hat, the scarf, the boot, full Doctor, and he's a tall bloke, very tall man, and I just sat there going. Thinking, oh my God, this is jeez. And my dad, went, all right, Tom, my boy's a big fan. And Tom Baker strode over, and I'm just dumbstruck. I'm dumbstruck. And I'm looking up at him, and it's like you're just looking up a mountain. Hello. What's your name? Ian. My name's Tom. Do you like to watch Doctor Who? He said it in this slow, deep voice, and I just went, uh-huh. And do you hide behind the sofa when it gets to the scary parts? And I went, yeah. And then he looked around and he knelt down beside me and he whispered in my ear, so do I. Honestly, it was the best performance. And of course, Tom Baker would always have jelly babies. And he said, I don't have any jelly babies for you, but here are 2 sugar cubes. And there's those little packets of sugar cubes. And I just went, thank you. I don't know what I said, but it was just, and he walked off. And it was the coolest, most wonderful, honestly, of all the famous people I've ever met in the last 44 years, that is, without a shadow of a doubt, just the most impressive, because to me, it was actually Doctor Who. You know, he was off to go in and get in a TARDIS, and they were filming the Robots of Death because we saw those robots. We saw loads of those dudes with their masks off, having a cup of coffee and a fag.
Incredible.
And it was amazing. But we got to hang around in the props department, and it was all these cages, and you'd walk along, and there'd be a cage with all the play school, Humpty and Hamble pushed up against this thing, and. I mean, we got bored of seeing the TARDIS. You always got to see the TARDIS. It was just there in a corner. This battered old thing. But I tell you the coolest thing one day, and I wish we'd had a picture of it, was we never got to see it, but we saw it once. The inside of the TARDIS was just set up. I guess it must have been in the studio. Maybe it was in the anyway, it was the TARDIS with the big walls with the big circles in and the central column and all of that. We weren't allowed to touch it. And it was the TARDIS. It was just the most amazing thing, man. And I wish, in these days of everything is photographed and everything is kept, and there was nothing, of course, I've got no pictures of it. I went on the set of The Young Ones. I was in The Young Ones flat. The set of The Young Ones, where the I remember standing by the payphone and looking up the stairs and seeing that there was nothing up the stairs. And, God, what I would give to have a photograph of that. What I would give to have a photograph of that, man. Geez, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. It's now got me thinking who have been the most impressive famous people. I think, here's the thing, right? I've met all of the people that I think I want to meet. There's a couple that got away. Jerry Lewis never got. David Cassidy never got. Would love to have sat down and had a proper interview with them. But all of the musical ones, Brian Wilson and Mike Love, the Monkees, interviewed all the Monkees.
You met Roger Daltrey, made you go wibbly.
Roger Daltrey made me go very, very wibbly. It's got to be said. He's a good-looking guy. Tiny man, but a pocket rocket. Just imagine the shagging he's been up to. Townsend, I've introduced the Who on stage. I've been blessed with all of the stuff. I've met the Kinks, Ringo Starr, McCartney. I'd like to. McCartney is a big ambition. I'd love to interview McCartney, but you never know.
I've interviewed Alan Titchmarsh.
There we go.
Yeah.
What was
Got
he
winked
like?
at by Ringo.
There you go.
Same day.
Oh, at Chelsea Flower Show.
Yeah. He was there with Barbara Bach. What an amazing looking woman she is.
Yeah.
She's like, by then they were, they must have been in their 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
An amazing, flawless woman.
I love Ringo Starr. He told my dad to piss off once. I told you that?
Nicely, or...
No. I think it was when he was boozing, and for a while my dad I don't know a lot about my dad, if I'm honest, because he was a man of mystery, i.e. he was a dodgepot. And, but for a while he stopped doing props because he wanted to do something a bit more creative. He wanted to be a writer, was the thing. But he was a floor manager for a bit, and for some reason and he's told me this story when I was a kid, and he told it to me again before he died, and I still don't quite get the context. But the BBC in the early 80s were putting on some event. I don't think it was This Is Your Life, but it was something like that. Big thing with a lot of old showbiz tarts in it, right? And so there were a lot of famous people there, and Ringo was one of the guests, and my dad was charged with going to trying to get him to do an interview. So he went up to, and he'd always say, "Bloody Ringo Starr, I hate that idiot, he was rude to me." So he had to go up to Ringo and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Starr, would you do an interview for the BBC?" No, I'm not interested. He said, "Well, we could offer you," and this was 1982, early 80s, he said, "we can offer you £400. And he went, and he was absolutely steaming. He went, "Why don't you piss off? I spend more than that on fags in a week." And my dad never had a good word to say about Ringo after that, ever.
I can understand
Every time Ringo came on the telly, he'd be like, "Tosser." But Ringo's an amazing guy, because 70s and 80s, he was out of it, man. You know, proper blackout, wife beating, you know, both of them knocking each other about and you know, losing days. And it's amazing that he's still alive, you know, and both of them, you know, they're very open about the fact that they're in recovery and go to 12-step meetings, and it totally turned their life around. But they're fascinating couple. And Ringo always gets he always gets a lot of stick, and I don't get it. I think he's brilliant.
It's an easy joke, isn't it? It's a joke that started back then, and it's never gone away.
I like Ringo. I've got a lot of time for Ringo.
Peace and love, man. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love. What do we do for the last 20 minutes? Let's decide during these adverts.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Talk Radio. For those about to talk, we salute you.
Still haven't signed up to Selco Predictor? Why not?
What a chance!
You turn the speakers up.
There's a million good reasons why you should. Sign up now at selcobw.com/predictor and use your footballing foresight for the chance to become a millionaire. £1 million! Plus, in April, win flights and £150 spending money for a sensational 2-night city stay in a European hotspot of your choice. The Selco Predictor. Download the Selco app now or sign up for free at selcobw.com/predictor.
Monopoly is back at McDonald's, and with millions of chances to win stuff like Mini Coopers, Sky Store movie vouchers and McDonald's food prizes, winning feels as likely as hearing a guitar solo in an 80s rock song. With that many chances to win with Monopoly at McDonald's, you'd better get peeling. Ends 1st of May. Selected items in UK restaurants from 10:30am.
Does that mean Johnny Secret doesn't work there anymore?
For price conditions and other rules, visit mcdonalds.co.uk/monopoly and see restaurants.
Where do you charge an electric car?
How quickly can I do it?
How far can you go on one charge?
How much can I save?
Can I charge it at home?
Do I need a house with a drive? Can you get an electric shock off them?
If I plug in my mobile phone, will the car's battery run out? Can they go in cars?
Got questions about owning an electric car?
He did an April Fool.
Get the answers at goultralow.com.
Right, sandcastle's finished. So, what now? Swimming, crazy golf, tennis, the arcades, the water slides?
All of them.
Ready to join millions of families across the UK and Europe on a Holtz from £15 only with the Sun? Oh yeah! Pick up the Sun and start collecting this Saturday. T's and C's apply.
Across the UK, online and on DAB, the Independent Republic of Mike Graham on Talk Radio.
Blasted rhetoric from the Banana Republic for people who think capital punishment isn't going nearly far enough.
Join me, the Reverend Mike Graham. Revolutionary, rebellious, rebuilt, rebranded.
Dangerous mid-morning debate with the great dictator.
The Independent Republic of Mike Graham.
Tomorrow morning from 10
on Talk Radio.
Greetings, Earthlings. We come in peace. We wish to communicate with your leader. I'm Howard Hughes. Join me this Sunday night from 10 for a trip into the outer limits.
Untwist the lid on Talk Radio's specimen jar of the psychic, the supernatural, and the simply unexplainable.
The Unexplained with Howard Hughes. Sunday night from 10. Earth time.
Simon Booth, you're a prick.
Radio.
Set free your mind. Let your fancy take flight. Conversation gets curiouser by the glow of moonlight.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Right. Grant Philpott, you're being reported. Simon Booth, you're a dick. Anybody else that we hate now as a direct result? I'm hoping to have this neck brace off tomorrow so I can move a little bit easier. And then tomorrow, after tomorrow night's show, it's not very exciting. I'm going to the Isle of Wight straight after the show.
I forgot about that.
Well, straight after the show. I'm going to a hotel on this side of the sea, and then really early on the Thursday morning, I'm getting a ferry to the Isle of Wight. I've never been to the Isle of Wight before.
No.
Never been to the Isle of Wight.
It's
I'll
white.
take that. I'll take that.
It's white as in spirit, isn't it?
I don't know.
Not white as in the colour.
Yeah. Yes, line one. What do you want? Jesus. This is why we stopped taking calls, because they were all cretins. Yes, caller. What would you like to say? What would you like to say to Ian? What would you like to say to Ian, sir? What would you like to say to Ian, sir? What would you like to say? What would you like to say to Ian, sir? This is why we got rid of calls, because they're all flipping idiots. This is why.
This is the reason Trump's
this guy sounds like a sex offender.
It's broken Britain, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. God. You're the reason we don't take calls anymore. And on it goes.
All night.
All night. And the thing is, they'll phone back in a second. Of course they will.
Oh, he's still phoning now.
Yeah, jeez.
People.
Who's sending me this? What is this? What is someone sending me? What is someone...
Dick Mills, manufacturing sound effects at the BBC's radiophonic workshop.
Oh, hang on a minute.
I'd better slow this down a bit. Oh, that's much better already. It's quite frightening. I'll add some of this to it. Let's see.
Dick Mills has worked on many Doctor Who programmes, including The Talons of Wen Chiang. At the final stage of putting together the background effects and music, Dick works in close collaboration with composer Dudley Simpson.
Please, Katie, remember, use the word.
A video cassette recording of the programme is used to plan the music track.
We've got some footsteps down there, Clyde, coming along behind him, and the music goes up.
And on it goes. Thank you very much for that. Let's, Yes, you idiot. There you go. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. How could... What? Who in this...
Press 1 if you're an idiot.
You press loads of numbers if you're an absolute bellend that doesn't deserve oxygen. Brilliant, we've got a mouse masturbating down the line. I mean... And people are going, oh, your show's not good. No, you don't take calls.
This what you want?
Is this what you want? Seriously. Is this what you want? You want idiots like this phoning up? Alright, let's put it to a poll. 0344 499 1000. Is this what you want? Right? Idiots like this phoning up and making absolute stupid noises down the phone, showing that they should have been executed at a very early age. God, you're a cretin. You're dumb. You're so dumb. I'm talking to you, the person holding the telephone. You're dumb. You make me want to puke. You make me despair
for the human race. There you go, he's off again. What an absolute bell cheese. This is everything that's wrong with humanity. God, you're stupid. Do you know how stupid you are? You don't even know how to use a telephone. There we go, put the phone down. Well, you got that bit right. Is that what you want, dear listeners? Is that what you want? Because if that's what you want, we can do that. We can turn that trick easily. But really? You want? Oh yeah, I'll tell you what I liked, right? I like that bit where my favourite bit of the show was that bit when that idiot phoned up and didn't know how to use a telephone. That was what I listened to the award-winning Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee for. That's what I listened to. Because you're an idiot, aren't you, caller? There we go. And you're an idiot, aren't you, caller? It's him again. There you go. Dolly Dickweed. Hey, you dopey git. You've never spoken to a human being, have you? Your mother hated you. Nobody likes you. You're an idiot. You're the dregs of society. You are everything that is wrong with this planet.
Is he in the toilet?
Of course he is, because he's a weird little pervert that's touching his tiny little misshapen acorn walnut penis, and he's got a little finger reaching round, and he's pleasuring himself because nobody else will they, pervert? Is that what you want? Really, guys? Is it? Oh yeah, my favourite bit of the show was the bit when the onanist phoned up and he kept flushing the toilet. That was my favourite bit of the show. I mean, really, guys, is that it? Is that what you want? Because if that's what you want, we can do that. That's easy.
The thing is, we've got certificates. We don't need to be doing that.
Exactly. Paul is saying, gutted you haven't read my sincere, heartfelt text messages I sent about the song request. Spent £1 on those. All right, let's get you £1 worth. Hang on. Paul, right, here we go. Hoping this text gets through, please play me a song that means a lot to me. It reminds me of my childhood, and I always reminisce about the time my mum and dad would play it on a Sunday afternoon. The scent of chicken dinner and wine. Fizzy apple for me, and the delicate chimes of the church bells in the village. And this is the sentimental song that Paul from South Wales wants. It's Shout by Lulu.
You know why?
Why?
What's the first word in it?
Absolute arsehole. AA. You're the AA, Paul Yandel. Absolute arsehole.
Why has everyone got to be so cruel?
Why has everyone got to be so cruel, Catherine? What is it about the kind hearts and coronets that we display on a nightly basis that means people are encouraged to act like absolute idiots and be mean? And be mean. Is that what you want? Seriously, call me now, 0344 499 1000. Is that what you want? Right? Is that what you want? People phoning up, making fart noises and playing the musical phone down the... Is that what you want? Because if that's what you want, I can do that. I can do that standing on my head.
No, not at the moment. Not with that.
No. Okay. I can do that with my eyes... I'll take this. I can do that with my eyes closed. Because there's no skin... Here we go, look. Is this really the height of radiophonic ecstasy that you want to reach? You're an idiot. You make me puke. Yeah. Grown away, you sexual deviant. There we go. It's getting off on those tones. Disgusting.
I wonder what he's typing out.
He's typing out something lewd and disgraceful, and he's getting off on it while he's wearing his mum's pants. Aren't you? idiot.
But if that's what you want, we can provide that.
We can provide that.
5 nights a week, we can do it.
We can do that. I mean, because right, Paul Yandel, you're in trouble.
What's he saying now?
He's just carrying on. That's actually been passed to the authorities.
Getting the police involved.
Get the police involved. So yeah, we can either carry on with treading a bold new path, and we've got more of the Tom Baker book to read, which we can read tomorrow. Or we can just have, nearly saw that, we can just have flipping idiots phoning up and going, oh, my bum, I think my bum's broken, there's a hole in it. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, can you say well for me? Well nonsense. Jesus. It just makes... there's just no point to it. Ah, dear. Absolutely no point to it. That fella's calling in again. I'm gonna give them one more chance. Yes, Deviant? You make me puke. You make me despair. You make me want to jump off of a bridge. Craig, you're talking rubbish. You're getting a timeout for that on the YouTube. Like that. But you, caller, you make me despair. You make me want to eat my own fingers. You make me want to cut my ears off. Because there we go. I mean, Jesus.
Tellingly, no one's ringing in saying they want this, so
No.
maybe there is some sense out there.
Okay, fine. Good. Well, if they don't want it, brilliant. We'll carry on we will carry on
The high culture.
the high culture. You had a chance to you've had a chance to turn it around. You've got the 5 minutes of the show before Paul Ross comes on at 1 o'clock. 4 minutes of the show. If you want phone calls, because I genuinely don't know what you guys want anymore. Okay, because I'm so. If you want these stupid, dumb phone calls, then 0344 499 1000. You've got 4 minutes to make yourself known.
Hugh's saying that your reaction is fueling this. I think that's victim blaming.
Who's Hugh?
Hugh on here. Hugh Simpson.
They are not letting the calls go through to air. What are you talking about, you idiot?
I wouldn't put it past Hugh doing it. Is it you, Hugh?
Right. Okay, well, that idiot is calling in again, and I'm not going to answer that. So that's actually his phone bill that he's wasting, so good for him. That's money. That money goes in. I get 10% of all phone calls. I should have said that at the start. So he can kiss it. And there we go. Nat says, thank you, Nat. So he said, I definitely don't want fart noises for 3 hours. If I want that, I download a fart machine.
Well, or listen to Sports Bar.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, they do that a lot, actually, don't
All
they?
the time.
Okay, so fine. Well, that's one vote to carry on with the bold new path that we are following, and this is great news. So that shows me I'm doing it. I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Doing it right, man. Feels so good. A museum dedicated to the sausage dog, with 2,000 exhibits, including a giant golden Dachshund statue, opened in Passau, Germany. I mean, a museum purely of the Dachshund?
I like them. I think they're a design classic, but have you ever tried to stroke one?
No.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to manage it. Certainly not with that neck.
You got to go low.
Oh, you're going so low. It's like
low.
stroke limbo.
Hugh Simpson, you're getting a timeout on YouTube. I'm not.
Incredible.
I'm not having that. He's victim blaming, victim shaming, and
all those things.
We certainly will not be having that anymore. We will not be having that anymore. Is the Dachshund, Dachshund, the sausage dog?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a pure breed, or is that...
That's a pedigree dog, yeah.
No, but has that been bred...
Of course it has.
Genetically? I mean, was it like a mixture of a long dog
And a tiny dog.
And a tiny dog. Is that how they do it?
Yeah.
That is, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Which is why I think we should get rid of all dogs, because none of them are actual... None of them are real... You know, none of them now exist in the format that God created.
Let's just go wolf.
Yeah, or
start again.
Coyote. I'm really enjoying saying coyote recently instead of coyote.
I can see why.
It's definitely the way forward, I think. Well, dear listener, that's it. We're done for the night. So thank you very much indeed for, not for everyone who called in and managed to hack the system, up yours, Dolores, that's outrageous. But thank you very much for your patience, and thank you very much for your listening, and for all of your texts and tweets. Tomorrow's going to be another day, guys. Tomorrow I'm introducing virtual reality headsets to a 6 and an 8-year-old. It's going to blow their tiny... tomorrow I'm looking at houses. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm actually going to look at houses to buy on my own.
Are you going to go incognito?
Yeah, I think I might have to wear glasses or something. I don't know. It's a weird old time, isn't it? It's a weird old time. Dear listener, that is it. That is your lot. We are done. Thank you very much indeed. We will be back tonight at 10 o'clock. Don't forget, you can go and download the podcast from iTunes or your usual podcast provider. Paul Ross will be up next. Ta-ta!
Talk Radio. Talk and entertainment across the nation.
Talk Radio.
Give it some lift.
When the McCulloch man mows his lawn with his McCulloch lawnmower, he powers through even the toughest grass with one goal in mind: to finish the job before the match starts. And with his McCulloch lawnmower, he's got the power to get the job done. That's why his mates envy his lawn as well as his team. Get your McCulloch lawnmower and other garden power tools at good DIY stores nationwide or at McCulloch.com. McCulloch, the power to get the job done.
In the new Sun mobile
trying to get
app,
some
you
of
have
that
all
Natural
this.
Museum.
TV and show that's
because
exclusive
the time
to football
doesn't
and
work
breaking
in
news
our
and money
favour.
saving.
Oh, no, they're
fashion,
an hour,
media trends
2
and
hours
celebrity
ahead.
real life stories and Dear Adrian sports and gossip.
I love stuff
Make
like
sure
that.
you
What's
stay
that?
ahead of the
There's a
game.
brilliant book that came out.
You can personalise your
couple of
news
years ago,
feed so you
Alton
only see
Towers
the
and
things
shit.
you love.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And it's about all the
Ideal.
little weird
Download
and
the new Sun
stupid
mobile app.
museums they've
It's
got over here.
totally
It's great, the
sun-backed.
pencil
So
museum
I
and
think
the
you might have
lawn
forgotten
one.
about me.
Where's the
I'm
bloke
on
on
the season.
Cuckoo
You
Clock?
smoking
Cuckoo
on?
Clock Land.
Maybe I've slipped your mind.
Wow, God, there's something.
That's the post public.
That means I might not be able to warn you if there's a fire. I know I sound anxious,
Well,
but you
parents'
might not
idea of
realise
time.
it's a matter of life and death.
But that's the kind of thing, and I'm sure you're the same, Paul. If you were, you're out in a foreign town, you go, there's a cuckoo clock museum. Right, forget that, we're going in there, we're having that.
They need to work to keep you safe.